Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Rugby Championship, and yet again, this match following an absolutely insane fixture between Australia and Argentina. It ended up going down to the wire, but in the end, Los Pumas getting themselves the victory, which now puts them in a very good position in the overall standings. They will be third, but still potential of going on to win this comp. Australia, they received two controversial bonus points from that matchup, so they move up to 11, and theoretically, at this point in time, that puts them number one. And at the overall standings, South Africa, they are currently sitting in fourth, but if they win this game in Wellington, they can certainly propel themselves forward and be in a great position heading into the last two rounds. Looking through at the starting lineups for these two sides, we will start with New Zealand. It is Ethan de Groot in the front row, keeping a spot from the previous week. Samisoni Taukei'aho slots in as the 2. Cody Taylor picking up the concussion last game, so he was going to be unavailable for this matchup, but instead, Taukei'aho, such a dangerous player. He's been brilliant for the impact player off the bench role, scored himself 3 tries. I'm sure will be one to keep an eye out for this contest. Tyrell Lomax, he gets his first start since his injury. He will slot in as the number 3. Fletcher Null, who was starting last game, he then makes his way to the bench. Scott Barrett and Tupou Vaa'i, they will be the locking joy for this matchup. Barrett has been pretty strong throughout this Rugby Championship. I think a little bit underrated in terms of what many people say about him. He's one of the leading tacklers in the whole competition, about 3rd or 4th ranked at this point in time. Tupou Vaa'i, he's been busy, and he certainly will be out there in Wellington, was getting in the face of the box, trying to fire them up. And I want to see what that does if he does it to Jasper Visser, because we know how strong and aggressive Visser can be. Maybe that would be the wrong player to try and start something with. Simon Parker, the leading tackler from the last match of the Rugby Championship between these two sides with 15. Ardie Savea getting that crucial turnover near the end of the game, bringing up his 100 in style. And then Wallace Satiti, he was able to get himself the most carries out of any All Blacks player in that number 8 jersey. And it's just a dangerous loose forward trio. A lot of physicality, a lot of versatility, and also a lot of work rate from those 3 men. Noah Hotham and Beauden Barrett will be the 9 and 10 combination. Hotham returns from his high ankle injury. He's been out for quite some time. It was a surprise that they chucked him straight back in the deep end, but I guess if he is 100%, he will be tested in this game, and perhaps that is just part of Scott Robertson's plan of trying to get him some minutes up against South Africa before the end of the year. Beauden Barrett, he had 2 try assists in the last game. He will still be starting as that 10. Geordie Barrett and Billy Proctor, identical midfield combo to what we did see in last match between the teams. Leroy Carter on international debut gets himself the chance at 11. Will Jordan slotting in on the right wing, so a little bit of a switch compared to what we saw last week, and that is due to Noah Moni Narua, man who did score the try early in the last game and then went off with the injury. And then Damian McKenzie, he is there as the 15. He's been an impact player all throughout the season for New Zealand in the international game. He's going to be tested under the high ball. It's supposed to be windy in Wellington. He was pretty solid under it last week. And that back 3, certainly a lot of entertainment and skill that will come out of those 3 men. But South Africa, their backline has been pretty much thrown as an absolute curveball heading into this match, although we have it with good standing that this was actually a backline that was already predetermined before South Africa even played that first match at Eden Park. Oxensham, Malcolm Marx, and Thomas du Toit, they will be the front row, so no changes compared to last week. Malcolm Marx scoring himself a try, but overall just not quite having that normal Malcolm Marx type of performance. The lineouts were a little bit shaky for South Africa, but there is no denying if Marx has a big game here, New Zealand will be under all sorts of pressure. Ludiaga alongside Ruan Nokia as the locking duo. So Nokia keeps his spot. Eben Etzebeth making his way from the side, and he isn't even off the bench. Instead, Arge Snyman is the man as the 19. Sia Kolisi moves back to number 6 after playing 8 in last week's game, so no Marco van Staden for this match. Peter Steph as the number 7, and Jasper Visser, the much anticipated return. He got suspended in the game up against the Italians for a headbutt. He's been serving his suspension, and one thing that always happens is when he plays New Zealand, he is always an absolute battering ram. He will get in the breakdowns, he will get turnovers, and he will put in some huge hits throughout This 80 minutes, Kobus Reinach and Sasha Feinberg Ngume Zulu will be the 9-10 combination. They are the two who made their way off the bench in last week's game, both having very strong games, bringing a bit more excitement and a bit more speed into the Springboks team. So Rassi decided why not give them both the start. Damian Valimza and Kanan Moody in the midfield, bit of a new duo. Moody plays very well as an outside centre though, and Valimza, he wasn't as strongest at 15, so perhaps this is a way of being able to balance it out, give him a chance somewhere. But I was fully expecting to see Andre Esterhuizen's name in that number. 12 jersey, Ethan Hooker for his first international start for the Boks. Out on the left wing, Cheslin Colby, the lone man to keep his starting spot for South Africa at 14, and then Apalele Pasi moves into 15 to replace Willie Leroux. But with that being said, I see we've got 63 messages in the chat, so I will try my best to read as many of them as I can, but I do apologize if we do end up missing some of them. We have got the legit question, how do I watch this live? So you can watch it on Sky Sport here in New Zealand, it's on Stan Sport in Australia, DSTV in South Africa, but also on the Rugby Championship website. There is also a where to watch section, and that will tell you exactly where you can watch depending on where you are around the world. South Africa in there from Shaz, and also up the All Blacks theme there. What a crazy team Argentina is. That was an insane game. And the fact that once again it was split by such a narrow margin. Now I do think Australia did pretty well to be able to work themselves back into a position of getting not just 1 but 2 bonus points from that game. But it's going to be a crazy finish to this Rugby Championship. Definitely if the South Africans can pull off the big victory here. We have got morning Hamish Hall from myself and the Boonies in Britain. I reckon the All Blacks take some beating after their triumph at Eden Park. We shall see. Best of luck to both sides. For me, a Bok win would be good. Says Kerno Wick. Yeah, if South Africa win this game, we will end up seeing every side having 2 wins, 2 losses heading into the final 2 rounds. So there's plenty that can happen. At the moment, I would say that New Zealand, they are considered favourites for this matchup up against the South Africans. But this side from South Africa, just so unpredictable in terms of what we are going to be expecting. They could either go out here with a hiss and a roar and absolutely fire with that backline, or it could be a little bit of almost unsteadiness in the way that this side plays. But I'm hoping for the first one. I think that if both sides play their running rugby, this could be the match of the Rugby Championship. And it certainly could be, I want to say it could have the chance of match of the year as well. Although that's pretty hard to do. We've had some insane games already. Wins kickoff. Kickoff is starting in about 45 minutes time. So we are starting relatively early. Still plenty of stats to look through at for these two sides. Also what is to come for these two teams as we move forward towards the end of the Rugby Championship. We have got their kickoff time, says Karen there. So 7:05 p.m. New Zealand time or 9:05 a.m. for you guys in South Africa. So I should mention a very good morning to you guys who are just now waking up, getting ready to go for this game. Going to be close, but always back in the All Blacks, says Jelaine there. And also we have got there, I want to ask you, lad, did you ever see a TMO reviewing a clear one forward pass and can validate the try? Says Roberto, it was certainly controversial, the end of that game. I thought that it was a forward pass every day of the week. I also thought the McWright one was forward, and that was less forward than the last one that we saw. But I think the best scenario happened, which was Argentina still won that game. Because if they had lost that game with that call, would have been crazy. Is it on in 40 minutes? It certainly is. So we are getting very close to the start of this contest. But we will look through at the benches as well in the near future, ladies and gents. What we will do is we will click that, and we will click that as well. And with a bit of luck, there we go. These are the benches heading into this contest for both sides. They have gone with the 5-3 split. Some thought maybe for the second matchup between the teams that we would see South Africa go back to that 6-2 split. Although Andre Esterhuizen, you could argue, is kind of a bit of a split player anyway. He has actually had some minutes as a flanker throughout this year of the Rugby Championship. But Manus van der Merwe as that number 16, going back to a specialist hooker option. Here for the South Africans, Jan-Hendrik Wessels moves from 16 to 17, and then Wilco Low keeps that spot as the 18. Urge Snyman partnering with Kwaka Smith. Those two men, if this game is close, could absolutely change it for the better. There could be turnovers won, offloads flowing thick and fast. And I just feel like that is something that South Africa, throughout that last 20 minutes, proved that they are more than capable of doing. When they get that ball rolling, start feeling it, and start moving it around nicely, that is when New Zealand have to be so defensively sound, or else they could end up conceding quite a few tries. Grant Williams, Marnie Libok as well as Andre Estes, and they are the back replacements there for the box for New Zealand. We do see Brodie McAllister, Tomaiti Williams, and Fletcher Null, so actually going with the All Crusaders front row in that department. Fabian Holland, once again, gets that spot as number 19 with Duplessis Karefi starting in at 20. So no real changes there for New Zealand with the exception of a bit of a reshuffle and also McAllister in there because of the injury of Cody Taylor. Finlay Christie, a lot of people thought he would be starting in this game rather than making his way off the bench. Quinn Tupaia, number 22, and then Ruben Love slots in as that number 23. So at his home ground, getting the opportunity. He does play very well for the Hurricanes. There are a huge amount of fullbacks already in this New Zealand team, so it is that big question mark of where will we actually see Ruben Love when he makes his way out onto the field. But hopefully he gets more than a couple minutes at the end of the game. I feel like that's the one big request I would have. Just give him some sort of opportunity to show what he can do. But looking through at what New Zealand have done so far in this Rugby Championship, their first game was up against the Argentines. They were victorious in that contest, 41 points to 24. Little did they know that second game up against the Pumas was going to be completely different. 29 points to 23. Argentina had a lot of stats in their favour for that contest. And New Zealand, that is actually a trend from this whole Rugby Championship. We'll be going through quite a few stats later on. But New Zealand quite far behind in some stats, yet at the moment, points-wise, find themselves near the top. Their game up against the South Africans at Eden Park. It was built as the biggest match of the year. There were a lot more mistakes in that game than I think both sides would have liked. We had 45 times that it was a scrum or a line-out throughout that matchup. So pretty stop-start, but the end score by 7, 24 points to 17 in favour of New Zealand. For South Africa, they started off their Rugby Championship in the worst way possible with a 16-point loss to the Australians. From there, they fired back, though. Got themselves the 8-point victory. And with the fact that Argentina just conceded 2 bonus points to the Australians, that one extra point that South Africa got in that game could make all the difference to the ends of the Rugby Championship. And then also, of course, South Africa just having that narrow defeat at Eden Park. Rassie has said they were far from their best, but they will be firing back with a young, exciting side here. See whether or not they can bring that impact. We've got 31 more messages. Who won the last game? First game between these two sides was 24-14 in favour of New Zealand. If you're talking about Argentina versus Australia, it was 28-26 in favour of the Argentines. So a pretty close game once again in a contest that didn't look like it should have been anywhere near being close with about 20 minutes or so to go. Let's make a bet on this game, Hamish. Says, Martin, what type of bet are you talking? I did mention if South Africa won both games on New Zealand shores, I was willing to get a buzz cut. Now, I'm feeling slightly generous in that regard. Our condition tried a little bit of wetness underfoot, but won't be too severe compared to like a rainy game. Like, it's definitely not going to be like Eden Park last week. That is for sure. But if we reach a certain light goal, I will still consider the buzz cut if South Africa win. I haven't quite decided on that like goal as of yet, but anyone who hasn't already, be sure, of course, to hit that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We've got Hamish expecting a hard game from both sides. We are going to see the Bomb Squad make a difference to the score. I just have to watch the Ferns' last 8 minutes of the game. Rooting for the Box, says David. And weather at the pitch, please, Hamish. Feels like 5 degrees. Gusts of winds up to 60 k's. So it's going to be more windy than anything. We have got there is that Argentina's second trophy so far. That's Rugby Championship, says JP. And we have got there a buzz cut in the beard. What beard is this? Says Xander. And also, I want you to shave a bock into the back of your head if the Box wins, says LB. And also, we have got the if New Zealand win, Vic and Vern have to wear an All Blacks kit, says Big Rig. That was said by Vic, wasn't it, a little while ago? So we will have to take him up on that. Of course, they will be joining after the match for this game as well. But looking at what is to come in this Rugby Championship for these two teams, New Zealand, in 14 days' time, they will be going head-to-head with Australia. Currently sit above them in the Rugby Championship standings. Of course, that can change at the end of this match, but the Bledisloe Cup will be on the line. Australia need 2 wins from 2, and if they can somehow win that game at Eden Park for the first, that would put them in the absolute box seat heading into that next contest for the South Africans. They have got the Argentines just around the corner. That game taking place in South Africa, and then the rematch actually taking place in England rather than Argentina, which does mean if South Africa can win themselves this game up against New Zealand, they would almost, I believe, become close to favourites for this Rugby Championship. Definitely if they can win this game with a bonus point on the cards as well. But of course, this game, it is not too far away. It is a crucial one for these two sides, 60 kilometres an hour. Which way does it blow? Long ways or across these Daryl? I haven't looked at the wind direction. I just know how strong it's going to be. Now, I will mention that is only gusts. I believe normally it's sitting around that kind of anywhere between 10 and 40 kilometres an hour. Greetings from Argentina, says Lataro. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. What did you like? Goal for the Buzz Cut, says Xander. Now, I was talking to someone about it earlier on, and they said I shouldn't go any lower than 2,000 likes on the live stream. So it's quite the goal, but with the amount of people that we had popping in last week, I assume that we'll get maybe a bit less this game, but still relatively up there. So perhaps 2,000 should be the goal that we do end up aiming for. Argentina fans, man, passion personified, says the business, and also morning in South Africa and good evening in New Zealand. I'd like to know who won between Argentina and Australia. So the end scored 28 points to 26 in favour of the Argentines. There was quite a bit of controversy at the end, and in the end, just managing to hang on. And in that regard, can Springboks be number one today? They can go into number one in the overall world rankings. New Zealand would drop to number two if South Africa were to just win this game. Whereas if South Africa were to win this game by 16 points or more, we would end up seeing the number one spot for South Africa and third, actually, for New Zealand. It would pop Ireland back up. Would you have it all off of the box win? No, we just went with the buzz cut as the goal. Okay, 2K equals buzz cut. Let's lock that in. And good morning, Hamish, says Mark. And also, are you cross for me, Hamish? Cross for you, as in like angry at you, Mohadin? Not that I know of. We have got there who will commit the first knock on, place your bets. I think it's going to be within the first 2 minutes of this game. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see a ball go down early. I don't ever want to hear anything about the Six Nations being the greatest championship, says the business. And 3:30 a.m. here in Argentina, still going hard. Watching for this match, Jez says it was another delivery. And okay, so you're shaving a box until you head off a box win by 15 plus. Never said that, did I? Listening skills not on point today. Would you shave it all of the box win? No, I wouldn't. Hate this cricket pitch, says Katsanel. The thing is, Sky Stadium, it's an interesting location. And New Zealand actually have a pretty rough record at this ground. In terms of the last maybe 5 to 10 years, it has been nowhere near the fortress that Eden Park has been. First knock on will be failure to secure the kickoff, says Jimbo there. And first knock on Jasper Visa, says DG. And we do see Rassi Erasmus just getting interviewed at the moment. Sitting there, the South African head coach. He said last week it wasn't the way that they would have liked to do it. Would you shave it all off at the box win? No. We have got there, I think there'll be an injury in the first 5 minutes, says Zai. Oh, first 5 minutes. Well, that's the thing. Amoni Narawa went down first 5 minutes. And I do think that we're in this scenario here, how it can happen. And unfortunately, whoever goes down injured, it does mean that whoever's bench it is will then become only 7 men for the later stages. First knock on Wallace Satiti. Great to buzz cut, lol, got to see that. Says Ronnie W. So yeah, be sure, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. We're back for the next round of the Rugby Championship. This weekend, of course, we have got the games, and then next weekend is a bye, and then we are straight back into it for another week of exciting rugby. The championship is going to be decided by IRB subpar officiating officials. Says we have got John and Hamish. What does slits in rugby? No idea what you mean. We have got off to work. I'll be listening. Always great commentary from Hamish. Says Avanox at 5K to shave it all off. No, we have got the one who makes the least mistakes will win. Says massage room for Donald. Massage room for Donald. That is quite the name. Is that Stephen Donald or just some random bloke called Donald that you've made a massage room for? But I agree. I think that there were far too many errors from South Africa in that first match. And had they been able to be that little bit more clinical, I think New Zealand could have been under a lot of pressure in that Eden Park Test match. Even more pressure, that is, than they already were feeling for that game. So where Rassi isn't that much older than me, well, a few years older, says Novmum, Leroy Carter, 3 tries, says Amaru. Wouldn't that be quite the debut for that man? Because, fun fact, no All Black has ever scored a hat-trick up against the Springboks. So if Leroy Carter was to be able to do it, like, the thing is as well, though, he is only injury cover. So if he was able to score the first ever hat-trick for New Zealand up against South Africa, he may also not get to play South Africa again for a very long time. And where are the All Blacks games between Australia and the AB. So the first one is taking place at Eden Park. And I want to say that second game is at Suncorp Stadium, but I'll just very quickly check. Actually, with how late it is, it might actually be a Optus Stadium kickoff for that one. Now, I think it might be in Perth, but don't take my word for it. It could be somewhere else. We have there. Good day, Mikazi says, Wema, welcome in. I hope you're doing extremely well. I hope you are extremely excited for this matchup. It is less than 30 minutes away from kicking off. New Zealand making a few changes. South Africa making huge changes across that back line. But we will move on to a few interesting stats for the Rugby Championship so far. Now, I will mention these stats are from the start of this round. New Zealand still have the leading line-out winner in the whole competition, that being Fabian Holland. He had 15, but he didn't get a single line-out in the last match up against these South Africans. He has been pushed to the bench. Tupavai currently sitting 4th in those overall standings with the 10. And then the big man, Eben Etzebeth, he has won more lineouts for South Africa than anyone else. He has got himself the 9, but they haven't gone with him in this game. Instead, it will be Arge Snyman as well as Lutiacha starting lineup. And then, of course, it will be Arge off the bench. Watch Kobus make a huge difference. Well, he is an X-Factor player, Kobus Reinach, and some people are looking at his age as a factor as to why he doesn't get a lot of starts. But honestly, if he plays like he did last week off the bench and can partner again with Sasha Feinberg, Zulu in that same way, I see no way whatsoever that Rassi wouldn't look at him as one of those better options. We know how strong Grant Williams can be off the bench, and to his credit, up till that last game at Eden Park, Grant Williams has been extremely strong in the starting lineup as well, but he just looked a little bit lost in Auckland. It seemed like the kicks were a bit too deep. That dangerous running wasn't quite there, and maybe that was down to tactics and what the plan was going into that match. For the Springboks, if the Boks win, it'll be the best rugby championship in history. Yeah, that's the thing. 2 wins, 2 losses for every single side heading into round 4 would be absolutely insane. And it's not off the cards. You don't have the hairline for the buzz cut, bro. Just show us your breakdance moves as the All Blacks win, says Zai. Well, the fact that I don't have the hairline for it should make it even more motivating to hit that like button. We have to get to 2,000. We're currently on 133, so we've got a long way to go. But this match still about 30 minutes away. In fact, only around 25 now from getting underway. Springboks will win the test by 15 points, says Ian Jacobs. The thing is, I've heard that scoreline a lot. I've heard either the All Blacks by 15 or the Springboks by 15. And it seems to be fully dependent on what we see from this Boks backline, because it is world class. And it is an exciting prospect if they end up doing well. I mentioned about it on that Australia and Argentina stream. If we see this backline do well, it retires, I believe, 2 or 3 players from South African rugby. Willie LaRue will be gone. And sadly, probably won't get any more minutes. Now, I know some people would say good, but also he's been such a veteran player for South Africa. But if this backline starts firing, they've got about 3 or 4 other fullback options that they can look at. He'll be gone. Makazole Mapimpi. I think that if Ethan Hooker does well on that left wing side, with Kutli Aronsa already in the equation, with also someone like a Edward van der Merwe, Kanan Moody can also play on the wing, I think we don't see Mapimpi back for the Boks unless it's a very rare occasion due to some injuries. Man, Kieran Reid looks a quarter of the size he used to. What was he on, says Stormer? It's just more of the case of he's just leaned down. You know, all the players, when they're playing, they normally have about 20 or so extra kg of muscle. As soon as you stop playing, your body does start to deteriorate a little bit. We have there Makazole Mapimpi. It's such a fun name to say. Says Big Rig. Proctor will be leading the haka. And if you love rugby, leave your like. I'm really looking forward to the Boks if the ABs. I'll take the absolute leadership, says Wall. And I'm going for a Boks win by 10 or less points. And Amish Billy Proctor is leading the haka, says Tanner too. And maybe that is exactly what Billy Proctor needs to be able to fire him up to the next level. Of course, we normally would see Cody Taylor, or also on other occasions we have seen the role end up going the way of Rico Ioane as well. Or Artie Savia. Is Artie Savia led the haka, or is he just right up the front normally? In that scenario, it might be the case that he's just normally up the front. We have got there, I'm going for the Boks by 10. And Reid must have been on more than creatine and whey. I wouldn't guarantee it. I think it's just the case of aging. You know, it's the same as someone like a Richie McCaw. He's still in phenomenal shape for what he's doing. Like, he still does Ironmans and all sorts. But even he has lost a lot of size than he when he was in the All Blacks environment. Unfortunately, it's just the case of, you're probably eating about 3,000 less calories a day as soon as you retire. So that's always going to drop your body mass that little bit because you just can't maintain it. At the end of the day, when you are doing that much exercise and training that hard, if you don't end up doing it anymore, like you are going to consistently lose mass. We have got there as a South African. I'm a blame the ref before the end, says Mr. Kiwi for Life. My Pippi has a real story behind him, says Daryl. And we have got there, Box have a chance to shut a few critics up. Looking forward to Sasha starting. And Gazza is the number 12, says Yako. Yeah, I'm curious about that Damien Verlimsa combination. Definitely with him being at number 12. 15 in that first game up against the Australians. I will mention his defence wasn't ideal. But in this game, it has to be on point. Because if he makes any sort of little mistakes, that midfield gets cut wide open. Geordie Barrett, Billy Proctor. Will they be able to finally start to find some free-flowing rugby in the midfield? They've got Leroy Carter. He actually does dabble in a bit of outside centre. Also a bit of halfback. That man pretty much plays wherever you tell him to. Probably go all right. And a fullback as well. Hamish, your beauty, thank you. Says Chuck T there. Have you seen how much weight The Rock and Batista have lost? Says Big Rig. I saw The Rock recently has dropped a lot, hasn't he? In terms of compared to where he was. We have got their box are all right. Maybe just firing the insults early. He might as well. We have got there. I love seeing my Stormers boys run in the back line. Says LB. And of course, the Stormers, they were actually in action yesterday, weren't they? In a warm-up game up against the Sharks, I want to say it was. What time is kickoff? Kickoff has taken place in only around 23 minutes' time. We're getting very close to the start of this match. The Huckers and National Anthems will be starting up in maybe about 18 minutes. They are very close to the start of this match. What we will do, though, is we'll look through at a few more stats from this Rugby Championship, particularly the ones that stand out as a team. Now, so far throughout this Rugby Championship, New Zealand has had 6 clean breaks. Now, that is a whole 7 less than the team above them, which was Argentina. South Africa, throughout their games, have had 20 clean breaks in just recent times. Now, New Zealand in the game up against the South Africans had 3. South Africa up against New Zealand had 2. But it's just quite intriguing that New Zealand, clean breaks, they're at the bottom. Carries, they're at the bottom. Meters gained, they have had about 500 less than South Africa, but they are still at the bottom of the rankings. They have had the least amount of defenders beaten, actually, alongside South Africa with 59 apiece. And then a few of the other kind of more set-piece stats, quite intriguing as well. But it just shows in this Rugby Championship, it was a bit similar to last year. Sometimes leading certain stats doesn't mean you're winning games. It just means you're having good moments, but you have to be clinical outside of that. Don't you think it's a good idea if the ref has to stay after game to answer media questions? Says Martin, I don't think World Rugby would ever do that, though. Because, referees already get enough stick as it is. And for a referee to sit and say, oh, I made the wrong decision, that's not going to help. Because then people will get even angrier than their own interpretation of the law, if that makes sense. No man at age 50 plus needs to be 270 pounds of muscle. It's got to mess up the heart, says Big Rig. And also we've got there, also, I can't figure out how you attach names. But this game is going to be amazing. And at the end of the day, the no stats is as important as getting the W. Ref cost the Wallabies, says the business. I hate to say it, but South Africa to win from an Irish fan, says Bastian. And of course, that would open up the Rugby Championship for a lot more intenseness heading into the final rounds. Looking at tackles from the first 3 rounds of the Rugby Championship, New Zealand sit with an 84.8% tackle completion. Now, heading into this round, Argentina and Australia were both above 87.5%. with the Argentines at 88.1. South Africa sit with their points differential, their tackling percentage of 80.9. Now, compared to last year in the Rugby Championship competition, it's quite intriguing because we're going to go here and we are going to get that stat right now. So last year in the tackling percentage for the South Africans, they were sitting with 83.9. So at the moment, missing just over 3% more tackles than they were last season. New Zealand sat at the top of the bunch with 87.7. So they are actually in the same boat, dropping about 3%. You just wonder whether or not all of those missed tackles are starting to create a bit more space and opportunity for their opposition. Now, New Zealand didn't make the most of that at times at Eden Park. And I do just wonder whether or not this game is going to be separated by one big missed tackle. We saw it last game. Will Jordan scoring because of a missed tackle from the South Africans. We saw Amoni Narawa. He scored his try due to the missed tackle of Villiers LaRue and then Cheslin Colby. Got sold the wrong way by the dummy. So it's just, I don't know. There's going to be thin margins, I feel, for this game. You live for the Black Ferns game? We certainly are. Black Ferns taking on the Springboks women. That game is kicking off in about 5 hours' time, and we are going to be covering that one on the channel too. It is a 2-day or a 2-match day for New Zealand versus South Africa. I can't think of the last time that that's actually happened, that New Zealand and South Africa play each other twice in the same day. Maybe for the Sevens, but then I don't think the Sevens normally overlaps with the Rugby Championship. So, yeah, it's definitely a new sight. And hopefully it's something that we can see a little bit more of in the future. I have no idea how that game between New Zealand and South Africa is going to go. I would say that the Kiwis are heavy favourites, rightfully so. They are the defending champions. But the South African women's side, if they can get it right with some of their players, LA, they've got out on the wings some pure pace too. Dolph at 15 has been strong. Nadine Ruiz is another dangerous player. Keep an eye out as well. Imagine if South Africa wins both games. It would be a massive, massive achievement for the South Africans. But the thing is, if South Africa win this game, is that going to add that little bit of extra motivation for the women's side to see the Boks go into enemy territory, in this case Wellington, and pull off a monumental upset? But the thing is, it's not even an upset because South Africa are that good that if they were to win this game, I don't think it would surprise too many people. In fact, quite a few people backing South Africa to win it. The South African team needs to wake up. CSL, I can't see the women's Boks women or winning. The Bok men, that is more likely, and Conor Murray didn't hold back against Graham Roundtree. And we have got their Springboks women's win. Who will they play? They would end up playing up against, I believe it would be the Canadians or Australia. Ruz also has a good story. She was saved from an orphanage by her grandma. Says LB. Has the game started? Not yet. Game kicking off in just under 15 or so minutes time, or actually just over that 15-minute mark. So we are getting very close to the start of this contest. Good morning, Amish. How are you doing? It's good to see you again. Says Tino Tenda. Welcome in. Hope you're doing very well. This game very close to starting up. These are the future games for the South Africans outside of the Rugby Championship. They will be taking on the Japanese in the first match of the November internationals. Then they play France. That is going to be a tough game. And I will mention it is less than 65 days away. That was back when I first made this graphic. It's going to be closer, and it's going to be very exciting throughout November. Italy, Ireland, and also Wales, the three other games that the Boks will have for their November internationals. Still plenty on the line, of course, for world rankings heading into that Rugby World Cup draw. Ideally, every side wants to be sitting number one, but sadly, only one can. Question is, will it be South Africa? Will it be New Zealand, Ireland, or maybe France? Those are probably the four in the running at the moment for that number one spot. Then there's the likes of an England just behind who are trying to boost themselves up. Australia and Argentina both jockeying for that number 6 jersey. That would get, or number 6 position, that will get them a better World Cup draw if they do finish there. New Zealand, some tough games in November. They will be playing up against the Irish in Ireland, Scotland, England, and also Wales. So New Zealand not playing France as they already played them in the 3-match series. And then Wales, of course, will be looking forward to that New Zealand fixture. No Italy in the games for the Kiwis either. And no one is England, the number one team right now. Says a big rig there, and thanks mate for the update about when the game starts. Says Edward, no worries at all. And we have got there, where's Ruth Carter? We did see her earlier on the last side stream. We have got there, surely England are the favourites for the Women's World Cup. They absolutely are. Women's World Cup wise, I believe they were about 78% likely to win. And what do? If I have actually scrotum, says Jared, probably not message about it on a YouTube chat and instead ask Google. And it will probably tell you to just chop it off. She'll be right. We have got there, Bok, make our South African proud. We are behind you, win and lose. Says Marinda there. And Hamish, what is the missed table stat on 20W4 World? It's table stat on Women's World Cup. Missed table. I'm not sure what you mean, Delmain. You've confused me there, and I'm not often too confused. We have got Rowan has got the waving there. Welcome in, mate. Hope you're doing extremely well. Rugby well. The Rugby Championship is delivering in spades. Says Gus, are we happy if the Lady Bockies put up a good show? I don't expect them to win, but a good show would be good. Yeah, I think that they can be physical up against the New Zealand side. There is no denying that South Africa have some absolute tanks in their forward pack. You know, even just looking at Ele as that number 8, who's Leroy Carter bumping off first. I think if I had to pick someone that he's going to be able to bump off in this game, I actually think it will be Damian Valimza running across field to try and cut him off, but then I think Colby's going to tackle him afterwards. There we go there. Luckily, I'll be prepared for a Bok loss, so it won't spoil my day. Says Albert. You make me laugh, Amish, with your hilarious comments, says Shaz, and also tuning in from China as well. Am I the furthest away geographically? Do I get a price? Says Jordan. I think you're one of the first viewers that we've had from China, so that is certainly a prize in its own. Another thing is, what if the Black Ferns win, but put 2 or 3 major injuries before facing Canada? True, it can happen. We've seen it time and time again, even just this first round of the Rugby Championship for South Africa. You know, they lost 4 players due to injury. South Africa. Says Nick there, Valimza isn't the best defender, so that does worry me. Says LB. And shout me out, says Brennan. So shout out to you. And hi from George, South Africa, says Ruan. And Gaz's Valimza is going to cost the Box the game. Defense is below par, says Raymond. There's been a lot of talk about that man throughout the week. And I do think he is where a lot of people are most concerned about when it comes to the South African side. Whether or not he's going to be able to handle that pressure in the number 12 jersey. I do like him at 12 better than 15, though. In terms of that last-ditch defense, I do think that Fassi, even though he has a couple shaky moments every once in a while, still gets that advantage in that 15 jersey. Proctor's leading the haka, says Mudcake. And yay, thank you, says Brendan. I'm in Winnipeg in Canada. Am I the furthest? It'd have to go close to the furthest away Canada in terms of location, wouldn't it? And bloody good point. The Canadians are power and class, says Kurno Vic. And I again, Hamish for I all, says Wild Lobster there. Quite a few people in the stands. It is a sellout game at Sky Stadium. We just see the players getting kitted up, ready to go. Leroy Carter, chance on debut here. He is out on the left wing for this match. No Rico Ioane, but also no Caleb Clark. In this case, hi Ruan, I'm from Somerset West. Says Shazan Hamish is doing the haka too. Says Jake, but if Valimza is poor, we have the machine on the bench, which will mean we can have 3 6'4", 100 kg backline players. I was a bit surprised, if I'm being honest, that Andre Esterhuizen did not start this game for the South Africans. I did think maybe Valimza could be the option off the bench, but obviously they want that Marnie fly half cover. And it is tricky to try and squeeze everyone in, definitely with the amount of depth and the amount of player options available for the South Africans. First try for Kana Moody, says Martin there. And we have got Hey Hamish UK in the house, says Raniera there. Welcome in, hope you're doing extremely well. Or is it might be Raniera, is it? My apologies for the mispronunciation. Or we have got the I'm watching you, bro. Time for the kickoff. Yeah, we are just about there, 10 minutes away from the start of this match. Showing just quickly the table, ladies and gents, the way that it sits. This is not the live standings. This is what it sat at the start of this round. After Argentina's victory, they move up to 3rd. South Africa drop to 4th. Australia go to number 1. And New Zealand go to number 2. So, in fact, every single side has moved since the start of the round, and we've only had one game. And the best thing is, we could see every single side move again here, depending on how this result goes. Now, of course, it would be tricky. New Zealand would have to pull off what we saw from the Australians in terms of getting that losing bonus point, although they would just need 1 point from it rather than the 2. And you think, well, when my score prediction was 33-27, and I would be happy enough if we see a score like that. A high-scoring game, both doing extremely well when it comes to attacking throughout this match. Fingers crossed anyway that is what we see. Vesa, please keep your head. Says Sakabula there. And yeah, he is a one to watch out for here for Jasper Vesa. 29 kilometres of wind at the moment in Wellington. That's actually mild when it comes to Wellingtonian weather. 12 degrees Celsius for this matchup, but with a little bit of a stronger breeze. I think I saw earlier the real field's closer to that 10, maybe a bit lower. Bonfire is only 86 kgs, but he certainly packs a punch with those 86 kgs. I always mention about it. I would rather a player that was smaller but packs a punch than a player who's bigger who doesn't throw their weight around. I think Leroy Carter, he's a bit similar in a way to Nathan Ellis. Anyone who knows who that is in the cricket world. If Nathan Ellis was 6'5", he would bowl 155 Ks. But sadly, he is a lot smaller, so he doesn't quite get to that same number. But he puts in 150% effort every single time he bowls a delivery. Leroy Carter's that type of player out there on the field. He will put in 150% to his tackles. He will run it hard. He doesn't get shied out of the breakdown too easily. So, yeah, I think he's going to be a dangerous man. Taro has donated a super sticker. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciated. What did you make of Australia? They started to become an 80-minute team, says Lyle. They had some good moments. First half, they were a bit shaky, but they're certainly a second half team. We've seen that time and time again throughout this rugby championship. Heading into that game, they already had themselves 10 tries from second half games. And I imagine that table you showed has been updated. Australia are ahead and have 2-point advantage on Argentina, which is why I said that. We have got their pre-game show too long, says Sakabula. Is that from myself or from the ones on Sky Sport? I know that they started at about 6 p.m. maybe for this match. We have got their good morning, fellow South Africans, and evening. Good lads in New Zealand, says Justin. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. I hope you are excited for this matchup. Sia Kolisi singing down the tunnel as he makes his way towards the pitch. He is fired up back to that number 6 jersey in that regard. What's with the Māorification of the All Blacks? I mean, they've always done the haka, haven't they? And we have got their Hamish is becoming a household name. Thank you, says Daniel. But while these two sides make their way onto the field, we will once again read through those starting lineups and reserves for the teams for New Zealand. They've got a few switches compared to what we saw in the last match. Ethan de Groot at number 1, Samisoni Taukiaho at 2. He comes in for the concussed Cody Taylor, and Tyrell Lomax takes the spot back as the number 3. Scott Barrett and Tupou Vai, they are in the locking duo for this match, so no changes compared to test match number 1. Simon Parker, Adi Savia, and Wallace Satiti will once again make up the loose forward trio. Noah Hotham returns from his high ankle injury. He is the 9 for this contest with Bowden Barrett as the 10. Geordie on his outside with Billy Proctor, who will be leading the haka in the very near future. Leroy Carter on international debut at number 11. Will Jordan out on the right wing. And then Damian McKenzie at 15. That is due to the change of Amoni Narua with his rib injury there. But the South African lineup, they have made drastic changes, not so much in the starting lineup for the forward pack, but more so off of the bench. Oxensham, Malcolm Marks, and Thomas Natoy keep their spots as the starting front row. Marks will be wanting a huge game here in Wellington. Jasper Visa and Ruan Nokia make up the locking duo, so no Eben Etzebeth for this match. Sia Kolisi back to 6, Peter Steptotoy at number 7, and then Jasper Visa back in that back in that Springboks kit. Massive chance for him to cement that jersey, as I don't think anyone as of yet since his absence has been able to fully grab that jersey by the reins. We've got Cobus Visa and also Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu as that 19 combination, both bringing extreme impact off the bench last week. So Rasi chucking them both in the deep end, giving them the opportunity for this contest. Damian Valimza, he will be alongside Kane and Moody in that midfield combination. Ethan Hooker out on the left for his first starting debut, so actually 2 new 11s in some regards for this game. Cheslin Colby out on the right. He is the lone man to keep his spot in the back line. And Upper Lelef Basi, he is there as the number 15. So, with that being said, the national anthems are about to be sung. And then from there, it is going to be the scrum. Oh, sorry, not the scrum. The line-out. Duplessis is surname, not a first name, just saying, says Doon. But if you knew the story behind it, you'd probably quite enjoy the fact that his first name is Duplessis, because it was actually based off respect towards a South African player. His dad played alongside or against Duplessis, so named his son Duplessis. Makes sense to me. We have got there walking out now, says Godzone. And also we have there, I think the refs have won this entire series, and Warriors bombed a try half-time. Warriors 2, Panthers 6, so a pretty close game in that regard. What do you think the score will be? My prediction for the score is 33-27. I should have called him Mornay, says Doon there. Although Mornay Karefi doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Duplessis Karefi. Hi, Amish, and everyone, says Lilia B. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. Hope you're excited for this game. We've got a donation from Jimbo right off the bench, or right off the back, I should say. Smash the like button or your team gets smashed. Well, there you go. Can't argue with that. Also, I should mention, if we hit the like goal of 2,000 likes, we are a wee way away at the moment, but I think we can get pretty close. If we hit that and South Africa win this game, I will stick to my choice and I will get a buzz cut, which I'm not sure about, but we'll see what happens. 2,000 likes. It's a big goal. It would be one of the bigger numbers that we've hit, but our last live stream, we had the most concurrent viewers since the World Cup. So let's see what we can do on this one as well. Par 4 the course. Says Danielle there. Morning Duplessis was the GOAT. Says Shazza there. And South African national anthem, says Godzone. So yeah, we've got the anthems now, and then we are straight into this contest. No smiling, just focus and competency. Please do your job and cover you, mate. Well, that was not quite a sentence, but I guess I'll try not to smile, I think is the gist of what we got there. And we have got hi from Bruce, and good morning. And New Zealand on top says Daniel. Yeah, I hope you guys are all doing very well. Of course, it is morning in South Africa, so hopefully you guys are feeling wide awake. The braais, I'm sure, will be coming out later on in the day, as they should be, because this is going to be a big old day of rugby with the amount of matches that will be taking place. Do the haka, Hamish. I should probably not do that. We have got there, South Africa will win. Says, eyes down, let's go New Zealand. Says Purple Dragon Universe, and Andre, Moody, and Hooker are basically all the same length. What do you mean by length? Surely you mean height, right? Rather than length. Unless you've seen something that we haven't. We have got there, hi Hamish, are you going to do the South Africa, or going to South Africa to cover the AB store next year? I'm sure your South African subscribers would shout you out for transport and accommodation. It would be pretty awesome to do. I don't have any plans of it at this stage, but I'd certainly have to think about planning something soon. Hi, live from Pretoria. We behind you, Bok. And should the Boks run the ball more? Says Hillary. I think that with this back line, unless something drastic in terms of reverse psychology is going on, they will run this ball quite a bit. Sasha Feinberg Zulu is at his best when he's got the ball in hand and he is starting to move forward for the Boks. Cobus Reinach, a little bit the same. South Africa have enough water? I'd assume so. There's plenty of it been falling from the sky here in New Zealand lately. We have got there, hey Hamish, how are you, bro? Doing very well, Noah. Hopefully you are excited for this game too. The national anthem of New Zealand just now being sung. We have got their length, height. What were you thinking about, Hamish? Says Albert. Oh, it's just a weird way of saying someone's height is how long they are. You know, normally, never mind. We have got their Bill. Yes, says Vincent. And playing on a cricket pitch, it is normally, Sky Stadium can be used for multiple things. We've seen the Wellington Phoenix play here throughout the A-League, but the cricket pitch part has been taken out. They're not going to have a cricket pitch just sitting in the middle of the field. We have got there, I hope South Africa can win over your heart at least. Says, cool stories, auntie. What game, or what should the ABs not do to mess up the game? I would say for New Zealand, they have to avoid as many scrums as they can. Yes, their scrum has been stronger this year, but at the end of the day, the Boks still have got that big pack who can make an impact and just wear you away throughout a contest. Time to set up your studio in South Africa, says Daniel. And all the fans are proud of their South African team. And also over there, I'm 2 meters in length. Says Pepe there, but the New Zealand national anthem, it has been sung, the haka, just around the corner. If you haven't already, do let me know who you think will be scoring the first try in this matchup, as we are very close to the kickoff of this game. The Boks will win, says Milan. Hello, Hamish, great to listen to your calling of this match. Boks by 10, and the local pub is full of South Africans. Back to the garage I go, says Average, and Leroy Carter is going to be huge this game. See, a lot of people are excited to see what Boomfar can do at international level, but he's got a veteran across from him in Cheslin Colby, which is pretty much the last player you would want to see on your debut across from you. But then at the same time, is that the player you actually want for the sake of trying to show exactly how good you are? Okay, they are changing sides here, hoping for a New Zealand win, not a Russie fan, says Bruce. It's time for the South African youngsters to show what they've got, says Jason, and at very least, this is a massive opportunity to get some minutes for those younger players, to show them what it's like to play in these big kind of matches. But Billy Proctor, fired up at the moment, gets the big chance of leading that haka for New Zealand in the absence of Cody Taylor, as well as Rico Ioane. It does seem like the Kiwis fully fired up for this game. They did start better in the last matchup, and I do feel like that is something that will bode extremely well for them heading forward. Rusty ran out of ideas, says Jeff J. Satiti over the first try within the 3 minutes. Also, you're going with a quick fire start from the All Blacks. Again, as it's starting, it is only about a minute away from starting. The All Blacks halfway through. Kamate looked like Sia Kolisi was maybe doing some singing in the standoff with the All Blacks there alongside Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu, unless that was just a conversation happening between those two men. The Damian Willemse 12 idea has never worked against one-tier opposition. Leroy Carter looks good in black. And a big deep breath there from Leroy Carter. He knows what this occasion means. A win at Sky Stadium would boost New Zealand up in the world rankings, but a loss here would drop them to number 2. And South Africa would be number 1 yet again. And that will be a hard one to take away from them, definitely after the matches that they will have up against the Argentines, although Argentina managing to get themselves the recent victory as well. And we have the Haka, always impressive, and Judge Rossi on the next World Cup, like Rudolph once said. Says, cool story, and Colby is the biscuit. See, as always, singing, says Shazza. He tries to keep those spirits high, and I think that this game, as soon as it kicks off, there are going to be some huge hits, some powerful runs, and that is where you need someone like a Kolisi out there to try and keep the team calm. Nika Amushukeli will be in charge of this game. Can the game not start? Says Erica. It is just about to. Brett Cronin, the foul play match official. Eric Gozans will be the TMO in charge. South Africa 43 to the 25. Cheslin to score the first try, says Lilia. And hi, mate, thanks for the coverage, says Regine. No worries at all, South Africa. They are going to be kicking off this game from right to left. Leroy Carter wobbles in Wellington. They've just put up there. The All Blacks have won just 4 of their last 10 games at Sky Stadium. This has not been a stomping ground by any means of the word for the All Blacks. And they are unbeaten in the 2-game streak that they are on at the moment. A draw and a win for South Africa. We are just about ready. The countdown has started. And Sasha Feinberg, Ngume Zulu will get us underway for test match number 2 between these two sides. And we are now underway at Sky Stadium. Kicked off high and looking to retain. Knocked back by Apelele Fasi, and already Reinach in the box are on attack. Lutiacha, wide cutout pass attempted. Vai ends up slipping. Ethan Hooker manages to win the aerial ability. Or aerial challenge, I should say. But Visa of across Sasha Feinberg. Ngume Zulu, what a dangerous run from Apelele Fasi. They are 10 metres out from the line, the green and the gold. And they have started like a house on fire. Now step there. Moody tackled low by Leroy Carter. And what is a very good tackle, but I believe the penalty advantage now for offside in favour of South Africa. Cross kick going up. Hooker versus Jordan. Jordan didn't even go for the ball and just let it sit for Hooker to claim. The ball goes into touch, but already an incredible start, and you would say more dangerous than the whole of the Eden Park Test match from South Africa in just one move. That was kind of more so what I think people expected to see in open space last week. But what an incredible start. It all came from just trying to retain that kickoff. Apelele Fasi getting up and slapping that ball back. Now 5 metres out from the line, New Zealand's discipline already being put into question. And they're only a minute into the game. What is the plan now? It looks like South Africa are kicking this one for the corner. They have said we don't care about the threes anymore. We want to score tries. First try for Mr. Colby, says Stassen there. Now we have got there. I can see South Africa is going to win today, says Tino Tenda. If they play like they did just then for the whole game, they're going to be a hard side to beat. I can tell you that right now. Good morning, Lilia B, says Annie. And also the box line out, says DG. Thrown in but dropped by Ruan Nokia. And that is the first mistake from South Africa today. It's a perfect position on the field, but the line out doesn't work. And now you wonder, do they regret not taking the 3 points when it was on offer? Youth is still is going too strong in the last 5 minutes, then due out, says Pepe there, now being rolled back by Noah Hotham. Back into the All Black side after quite a long injury layoff with a high ankle injury. Ludiacha trying to charge it down. This one's not going to go into touch. Leroy Carter goes up for it. So does Cheslin Colby, who knocks it on. New Zealand now with that advantage. Now, ball's still there for Noah Hotham. Still cutting, hey, listen to you after the Australian game, says Jonathan. And a lost opportunity, says Albert. Well, this time South Africa will be fit, says Cool Story. Hotham rolling it back, still inside of New Zealand's 22 here. They're not quite on the position on the field that they'd like to be. Hotham, good exit. Does mean now 30 metres out from the line. Another line out for South Africa. It was one of the talking points last week with their line out accuracy department. It wasn't quite as high as the box would have liked. But, you just wonder here whether or not that is already on the mind of the South African team. Malcolm Marks normally is one of the best line-out accuracies around. They're going up for it. Ludiacha challenged in the air by Vayu. Didn't quite throw up a hand. Sasha Feinberg, Ngumezulu, no-look pass for Limsa. Now on the outside at Cheslin Colby. Went for a kick. Tackled by Jordan. Knocked on for the second time from Colby in the first 3 minutes. We have there to South Africa. Should have taken the chance of early points, says TE. And also come on the block. Get your stuff together, says Shazza. Leroy Carter to get the first try, says Neville. But what a crazy start to this game. The first 5 minutes or so has been all-out action To be fair, is that a knock-on from Colby if he did get half a boot to it? It was nowhere near a big kick, don't get me wrong. But he kind of dropped it down to kick it and just brushed the boot. We have got there. I hope this game proves they sorted out the line-out issues. So they currently sit in 50-50 with the line-outs. Who's the ref? It is Nika Mushakeli, who is in charge of this one, the Georgian. And come on, Cheslin says Starson and go Leroy. Says Zion. Rassi Erasmus. The talking point of Eden Park were that set piece. 45 times we saw a line-out or a scrum in that last game. They are insane numbers. And hopefully we don't see that again, although we have already got ourselves one here. Now ready to put the ball in for the South Africans. Pack weights. For the New Zealanders, I should say, with Noah Hotham. 20 kg advantage for the South Africans here. 948 kgs compared to the 928 of New Zealand. We've got the Leroy Carter first try and first scrum, says Rodney. So this will be a flatten out there, the New Zealand front row, but getting that ball out extremely efficiently. Geordie Barrett trying to get back to his feet. New Zealand have not exited their own half throughout the first 5 minutes of this match. A bit of a counter ruck from Peter Steph du Toit. He's cleaned out by Lomax, who says you're not taking that one. Now Hotham, again with the box kick, this one being chased after by Will Jordan, who's going to go up for it. This time wins the high ball over Upper Lelefasi. Ethan Hooker making the tackle on Jordan, and for the first time now New Zealand were in the South African half. They're back inside of their own at the moment though, and Geordie Barrett almost losing that ball to Damian Valimza in the breakdown. Tupo Vai, busier player from the last contest, got underneath the box skin. Now rush defence from Cobus Reinhardt, goes to Scott Barrett, nice hands, pops it on the outside to Artie Savia, one more to McKenzie, cutting back inwards, gets tackled low by Ludiacha, pops it up to Barrett, that being Scott. Just seems like there's not going to be many stoppages in this game already from the first 6 minutes. Billy Proctor, great hands, goes on the outside to Barrett. Satiti passes to Leroy Carter, steps round Sasha Feinberg, Umgumed Zulu, and runs into traffic where Peter Steph and Nokia were waiting for him. Now De Groot, no look pass, goes to Bowden Barrett. McKenzie going for a kick in behind, looking for the 50-22. Ball bounces sideways and does go into touch. We have got there, so collapse going to fine now. Ref has allowed it. Says Doon. I think what happened, because of how quickly that ball came out the back, I assume it was already playable. Is the only thing I'd say, because I thought that the ball was still going to be in the middle of the scrum, yet it was actually already out the back for the Kiwis. So that is possibly the reasoning behind it. I actually make my day here in South Africa. Your commentary is so good, says Leslie. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Of course, anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are back for the next round of the Rugby Championship, as well as plenty more in the future too. Now thrown in by Malcolm Marks, this time finding Diacha, who was uncontested at the back. Big run from Kolisi. Goes straight at Wallace Satiti. Now available for Cobus Reinhardt. I will mention, if we get to 2,000 likes, we did make the deal at the start that if the South Africans win, I will get a buzz cut. But that is only if we hit that like goal, because originally it was supposed to be South Africa to win both games. So I'm being generous. Now De Groot around the halfway line. Ludiacha making the tackle. In fact, it was Ruan Nokia, side entry from New Zealand. And that is going to be the penalty now in favour of the Boks around the halfway line. Now, something that I didn't mention earlier on in terms of a factor as to why South Africa may have turned down the 3 points is because of that wind. We talked about 25 kilometres of wind minimum throughout this game, and I do think there are gusts of about 50 to 60 Ks. Ref has got the AB side entry already, says Rodney there. And go the Bok, says Jabulani. Oh, that one hasn't found touch. Sasha not getting it right. Will Jordan taking it inside of the in-goal area for New Zealand, who are going to try and run this one out. Now, they do have the option of putting it down, but Leroy Carter now going to sink the slipper into it. This one will swirl for a while. Doesn't manage to find touch. Upper Lelefasi after Sasha Feinberg. Ungume Zulu almost through, but tackled by Noah Hotham, who took an elbow from Savia in the process. Thomas du Toit tackled by Tolkiao on the ball. Ooh, that was close. Flat ball from Reinach to Vesa. Ball still there. Tolkiaho, bit of a counter ruck there, trying to make it scrappy for the Boks, slowing them down in the breakdown. Ludiacha, pick and go. Savia on the ball, rips it away, and New Zealand take possession back again inside of their own 22. Bowden Barrett kicking downfield, but it's charged down, picked up and dropped by Wallace Satiti. What is a buzz cut? It's pretty much what it is here the whole way over. So I will look weird. Great commentary, listening in F. Says Patrick there. Can't make out that sort of mistake in test match. And yeah, just a mistake there from Beauden Barrett, waiting just a little bit too long to go for the kick. And also a very good charge down from the South Africans. You notice ref was blowing All Blacks for the side entry in the ruck. I like this ref. Says Albert, and 8 minutes gone already. It's going to absolutely fly by. And it was actually Sio Kolisi with the charge down, and then Wallace Aditi just unable to regather it effectively. So it does give the scrum feed to the South Africans now, and Hotham's injured. High ankle injury. I wouldn't be surprised if he's re-injured it again. Stupidest choice New Zealand made for this game. I said it all throughout the preview, as well as the lineups. He's got a lower ankle injury. Why would you chuck him back in the deep end for a game up against the Box? And buzz cut with a John Olomu 11 eyebrow. Says Chris there. You can never look weird, Hamish. I don't think you could guarantee that. But yeah, it looks like Hotham actually got knocked out as well. So he's not continuing in this game. Lovely beard there, Hamish. Wrists don't matter. Says Danielle. Arges Snyman onto the field for the South Africans as well. Who is this for? Looks like it's for Ludiacha. What's happened here? It's been an injury for both sides. Diacha is very slow making his way off. I don't know if that's no, he's limping a little bit, the big man. I think that now we have seen a sub made for both of these teams way before they would have wanted to. We have got their boring game, says Bill. What part of it is boring, Bill, out of curiosity? Because, of course, running rugby and whatnot, I guess, doesn't suit everyone's needs in the rugby world. But we're seeing two changes. Looks knee, says Dunya. It almost looked a little bit higher, didn't it? But Finlay Christie on the field after 9 minutes. I should have actually predicted that because I literally said it in the pre-match stuff that they were risking him and there's just no need to. Literally, Finlay Christie, Kyle Preston last match did absolutely fine. Bill is boring, says Denver, but now scrum gone down, advantage now for South Africa in the middle of the park, but that is a concern that they've already had to make their change in the locking duo for the Box as well. Sasha Feinberg, Ungabe Zulu kicking it in behind, Cheslin Colby's pace, and he's dropped the ball. He was over the line on his back, but it pops out of his hands. And that is brilliant defense from, I want to say it was Geordie Barrett, who managed to get back and save it from being a certain try because Colby won the foot race every day of the week. But the kick from Sasha Feinberg, Ngome Zulu, what a great one in behind, and then Barrett just hits him and manages to turn Colby to his back and pops it out of Colby's hand. So that will actually count as a knock-on against Cheslin Colby too. And Geordie try-saver, says DG. WF Colby says, Bradley, you're normally so clinical, but Barrett just got that good shot in. Is it raining there? No rain. But they're going back for the scrum penalty. It's a little while ago, but it is going to be a chance here for Sasha to decide. It looked like Kolisi was pointing at the post. Sasha's looking at the corner. Oh no, now they've chosen the corner again. No, but wait, drop the ball again, stuff this again. Yeah, that's 3 now dropped by Cheslin Colby. And takes the TT off. I assume that's because he dropped the ball once. But Cheslin Colby's dropped the ball 3 times. He's still out there. So, he'll build into the game. As South African 9 AM game makes me miss Super Rugby, says HDB. Now, Malcolm Marks with this line-out throw. They are sitting 15 metres out from the line, but that was the golden opportunity to take the lead here for the South Africans, and a free kick. New Zealand closing the gap. Nika Amushukali getting them straight away. Reinach with a short ball now going to Damian Valimza. It's going to be held by Geordie Barrett and Artie Savia, told to release. 5 metres out from the line for the Bulk now. Visa with a good attack and run forward. Now Reinach pick and go. Run it aside, drop ball from Oxen Share off to Ruan Nokia, just short of the try line once again. Reinach pops it up to Arges Neyman, the Viking. Gets over the line. He's only been on the field for 2 minutes, but the first of the match for South Africa, and it's scored by a member of the bomb squad in Arges Neyman. But 3 throughout his career. That one is an absolutely crucial one, that is for sure. And just making the right choices. The errors from New Zealand when it comes to their discipline at the moment seem to be playing a little bit of a factor here. just giving up the territory. They defended well, but they couldn't stop the massive unit that is Arge there. We will go like that. We'll go like that. There we go. Try scorers going across the bottom. Come on, the All Blacks. There's Gaturv. And Feinberg Mezulu. Where'd that one go? That completely disappeared. Will only take sitters in front of the poles today, says Doon. Rightfully so. Like, oh, hang on. TMO's involved after the kick's taken. What are we checking now? Is this going to be ruling this out, or is this going to be against New Zealand? They're checking for a knock-on. I think it was Jasper Wiese. Now that I think about it, there was one breakdown that looked a little bit funny, but I just assumed it was the way that he fell. But it could be a Wiese knock-on that they may be checking for here. Now, the kick has already gone over, so it is 7-0 if this try stands. Checking, says Godzone. Eric Gossans is going to be checking this one out. It's the Jasper Wiese breakdown. Oh, no, it's actually Reinach. Oh. Yeah, it's hit the hands. It's a knock-on from Reinach. That is going to be no try. And this one's going to be ruled out. Crowd's not going to be happy, and I believe there wasn't a penalty advantage in that case either, so that will take us back down to 0-0. And also New Zealand will have themselves the scrum feed. But tell you what, that is a wake-up call and a half for New Zealand to know that that try was just around off the corner. They can't do that. They actually still can, unfortunately, for the South Africans. We have got there. G'day, mate. Good to catch your commentary again, says Clive. It is greatly appreciated you being here. Anyone who is new, be sure, of course, to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are currently sitting on 451 likes. Now, the goal was if we reach 2,000 and the South Africans win, I will get a buzz cut, which is pretty much this length the whole way across. I will look very funny for a couple weeks, but if they manage to pull it off and we hit that like goal, that is exactly what we will do. Good call, ref, says Zion. Now Finlay Christie ready to feed the ball in for one of his first touches of the game. And we got the South Africa focus on catching the ball, says Stassen. Yeah, already about 5 knock-ons coming. Oh, that's a loose ball, but New Zealand managing to get the penalty. That is going to be for front row hinging down. Tight head coming in and down. So that is against Thomas du Toit. Sick of bad refereeing. New Zealand useless but saved, says Vincent. Which, to be fair, that was the right call. You know, it just is a shame it took so long to get there. I changed the scoreboard. It's an online scoreboard, so it kind of changes itself. Currently, opposition time in the 22. South Africa, they have spent 1 minute and 2 seconds inside of New Zealand's 22, whereas in this game, so far, New Zealand have not entered South Africa's 22. So a complete opposite of what we saw in the last match. Finlay Christie going now to Beauden Barrett, passes to Geordie, skip pass out wide, Billy Proctor, he's got the man with him, lures in the defence and tries to bundle over the top of Cheslin Colby. I don't think I've ever watched Valimza get so involved in these breakdowns, by the way. So maybe because he is playing as inside centre, he has decided that, Finlay Christie, not able to go because his shoelace was tied with one of the other All Blacks players. Got hit with the classic prank from back at high school, but now a step from Beauden Barrett. Moving up to 40 metres out, Tolkiaho decides, that's unfortunate. It'll just be, I believe, a knock-on from Apalele Fasi, not called as deliberate. Robbing us against Cesanelli. Well, once again, it was the right decision. It's unfortunate that it took them so long to check it, and the fact that it took until the conversion was taken before they found it, but there was a clear knock-on from Reinach, so it's an unfortunate one. I feel like they do need to try and do them earlier, but then at the same time, I think Sasha did rush that kick maybe for that reason. They rob us all the time, says Hull Pie. And get ready for the buzz cut, Hamish, says Deborah. And there as well. But yeah, New Zealand, we were asking for that penalty, and I think the referee, Amosha Kelly, just says that it was the knock-on. Some refs would have given that as a yellow or a penalty as well. What happened to the Bok try? It was ruled out due to a Reinach knock-on about 3 or 4 breakdowns beforehand. It's within the laws. Here comes the South Africans blaming the ref. The ref was right, says Cameron Kay. And what happened to the 7? Did we try? You did have a try, but then it was ruled out. And it would have been Arge Snyman as well. And why is Colby the smallest guy making the big tackles? He always does, Cheslin Colby. No matter how big the opposition is. It's that case of what we said before the game as well. You know, you look at Cheslin Colby and someone like a Leroy Carter, how they're both smaller players, but they still pack a punch much bigger. OMG, that stupid ref, I hate him. Well, it was actually the TMO, if you want to hate someone. Rosson was the one who made the decision. Quick tap taken by New Zealand off the free kick on the scrum. Oh, Sasha Feinberg, Zulu getting bumped off by Barrett. A little bit slow, regaining his bearings. Pass out wide. Bowden Barrett goes to Leroy Carter. And again, Cheslin Colby has got him down. The ref is the problem again. The ref made the right call, though. That's the slight problem in the scenario. And South Africa, they will be more than happy with how this game has been refereed so far, as New Zealand have been penalised 3 or 4 times compared to about the one of South Africa. Now Savia, ball on the outside, goes to Simon Parker with a step, gets around Sasha's defence. He's injured. Sasha Feinberg Zulu has stayed down. He didn't look right after the tackle attempt on Geordie Barra, but he is down for even longer now. New Zealand using their backline. McKenzie goes to Leroy Carter, drawing pass out to Satiti, who is cutting back inwards. And New Zealand's first visit to the 22. Now Christie back across. Sasha's still down. Cross kick coming. Simon Parker takes it out wide. Ethan Hooker looping around to Adi Savia. Close to the sideline. Defended by Damian Valimza in the one-on-one challenge. Now Barrett goes to De Groot, who had to drop to his knees. Will Jordan slinging it across. Numbers here for New Zealand. All they need is the draw and pass. Vai gives it to Carter, who scores on debut. Boomfar goes Boomfar. And New Zealand get the lead. Dropping the ball at the wrong moment won't have something to do with the scoreline as well, says Richard. Yeah, we've seen four times so far that South Africa have dropped that ball. Cheslin Colby over the goal line. Ended up dropping it too, but Carter gets the debut try up against the box, and that is a massive win for New Zealand there. When you look at the possession throughout the last 19 or so minutes, New Zealand have hardly touched the pill inside of South Africa's half. And unselfish from Tupovai as well, and Sasha Feinberg crumbled by Parker. Yeah, he didn't look good, Sasha Feinberg, Zulu, and I think he might actually go off here, which does mean that Mani Libok will be taking on the number 10 jersey. Now, that was a good decision. And to be fair to Sasha, he was the last defender there. He has covered the whole length of the field to be able to get across and try and make that tackle. But I still don't think he's 100%. And they may have to check this one, or check him in general, to see if he's all right to continue. But now Damian McKenzie not happy with that kick. It goes over, though, so you know that you're having a decent day off the tee if you're still not happy, and it still goes through the post. But 7-0 now for New Zealand. All Blacks says go skis there. Tired of the Spock team always getting nothing for their domination. Yeah, I'll be honest. South Africa, with where they sat throughout that first 15 minutes, should have scored, I think, at least twice. And that's a concern. Because if they aren't a little bit more clinical, knock-ons. 4 times in the 22 they have dropped that ball. But Mani Libok, he has made his way on now. Sasha Feinberg, Zulu comes off. Is this where they would have preferred a Pollard to have rather than a Mani Libok? We will soon know. Nicely taken. Geordie Barrett kicking this one high towards the sideline. Goes out about 35 metres from the Springboks line. Hamish, you look like a duckling. Who'd they just say? Noah Hotham may have just failed his HIA, or Ludiacha. One of those two will not be returning in this game. Sasha going off, says Danielle. And how are we doing, folks? It's been hectic, that is for sure. South Africa needs Wayne Barnes on the field, says Hapai, and Timo biased, says Bradley, but now going off Malcolm Marks, Reinach into the middle of the field, finding Ethan Hooker. Now Reinach again. Goes to Mani Libok, off to Kanan Moody. He's a man that we haven't seen a huge amount of outside of that first big attack and run early on. Arges Neyman now looking for the offload, finds it to Malcolm Marks. No matter how well you think you've got that man tied up, he always finds a way of getting that next one away. Damian Valimza, high ball, chasing after this. Better Steph the toy, knocked on by Geordie Barrett. We have got there from Jane, and I'm getting started of the Springbok team. So many opportunities and nothing to show for it. All New Zealand can do is smile and say thank you. They will go back for the scrum now. And it is a knock-on from Geordie Barrett in the aerial challenge. I have got there, Hamish, why is Rassi so stuck on Libok? Because Libok, when you look at the statistics in terms of the amount of tries that the Springboks have scored since Mani Libok entered into the environment, there's a massive night and day. And Mani Libok gets a huge amount of stick for his kicking. But, you've got Valimza at 12. He can kick. Theoretically, they could have Sasha at 15. He can kick. So I think that a lot of people look past the attacking brilliance that is Mani Libok, because he's one of the best attacking 10s in the world. There's no denying that. And it's only off the kicking tee that people go, oh, well, now we can hate on him. Whereas when he helps win them games, people don't say anything. And Show the Game says, Pomela, sadly, due to licensing, any match footage or audio will get us taken straight off YouTube. So you can watch it on DSTV, Stan Sport, Sky Sport as well. But the scrum for the Boks looking solid at the moment. Amusha Kelly saying to stay up. It has gone down. But it will be the penalty. It will be the ball for the South Africans. Reinach, another knock on. That is his second of the day, including the one just before the try. Oh, and a bit of push and shove there too between the two teams. All Blacks 6 changes means they'll lose by 6. And also up the All Blacks from Vienna, says David. Yeah, anyone who is new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We've got plenty more of the Rugby Championship just around the corner. Sasha Feinberg is off the field. He certainly is. Got off the field due to a bit of an injury. I think it was that first initial collision with Beauden Barrett that caused it, and then he tried to make the tackle on Parker afterwards and just did not look anywhere near that 100%. What do you think about the referees this year? Refereeing's always going to be a mixed bag. Oh, hang on. Was there a little hand on the ground from Tupolvai there? You need a shave, says Brent. I actually had a slight shave yesterday. So how short would you like me to go, Brent? We have got there, Chief says Osefa. What's Otham injury? Not too serious. It seemed like it was a head knock, but then also it seemed like maybe knee or lower leg again. Now, he's just come back from that ankle injury, so that is the last thing that they would have wanted in that scenario. Now, Finlay Christie puts in a massive scrum from the Boks, but again, New Zealand managing to clear the ball first. Beauden Barrett lined up by Kane and Moody. That was high from Cheslin Colby on Leroy Carter, and the All Blacks will get the penalty. We have there, this game is closer now than I thought. Just mistakes from the Bok forwards, not the rookie backs. Yeah, it's actually been the back line that's been probably the more clinical out of the two. And they were the ones who got switched more so for the South Africans. Didn't South Africa score first, says Alan. They did until it was ruled out due to a knock-on from Kobus Reinach. We have got their corrupt ref, says Ryan. And also we have got there, I'm getting pissed off. We are doing rubbish, says Haino there. That one's kicked at a touch by Beauden Barrett. We have got there, I got to turn off now, sick of seeing poor Bok chested. Says, Vincent, do you sleep in that shirt? I do not. It only comes out for the weekends, but I also don't sleep on it in the weekends, or in it. Sleeping on it would be even weirder than wearing it, I think. But Samasoni Tolkiaho now with the line-out throw. Nicely taken by Tupolvai at the front for the All Blacks. Finlay Christie now. Beauden Barrett decides to run, almost pierce through, trying to link up with Wallace Satiti. You go, the All Blacks on back home, and says Xavier, welcome back. Now Christie, pick and go from Tolkiaho, getting through one challenge and almost piercing through Rua Nokia as well. Knock on that time from Finlay Christie, or at least it looked like it. They may have to check that one. Cheslin Colby. The All Blacks will be wishing they checked it because Colby's going to go the length of the field and score himself the try. Barrett doing well to get back there, but Colby, he's caught that one. He dropped 3 already today, but when it mattered the most, he's managed to cross the try line and get the Boks back in the game. But yeah, I'm curious to know if that was a knock-on from Christie there. And that breakdown, of course, it would have been play on advantage in this case, and Colby's try still would have stood. But Beauden Barrett, it was actually the pass from Billy Proctor. Went straight into the hands of Cheslin Colby, who rushed up. He had to take that ball because if he didn't, there was going to be a massive gap and perhaps a try down the other end of the field. But that is rugby at its finest. He saw it and he picked it and he went with it. Cheslin Colby. Now the ref is fine, not corrupt, says Samantha there. And we have got there, South Africa must go for training to catch the ball, otherwise going down. We got the happy face there from Andiswa. And also Habana time, says DG. And I told you Colby will score the first try for South Africa. Mani Lebok. He gets it over. And that's going to make the score 7-all. Now let's go. Cheslin, you beauty. Says Lilia there. So the score now sits even between these two sides. Colby wiped the butter off his hands. Says Bradley. He's certainly taken that one a lot better than his earlier ones. And Colby Yalekading says lovely there. And Tiamo quickly says Ithikoloshe. Now it's going to be kicked off. Going up for that one was Leroy Carter, but he was never going to win a height battle with Arges Neyman, who was being lifted by Jasper Visser. And spicy game, says Novmum there. Now rolling it back. Reinach. Need to put it high. That one has gone very high and not very deep for that kick. Should be contestable. Leroy Carter went up for it, not quite getting a hand to it. Now Barrett goes across to Barrett. He's got another Barrett with him, but he doesn't use the trio. Now, Finlay Christie, South Africa rushing up very quickly there, but now Tupou. They have got the offside against South Africa there. Finlay Christie goes to Adi Savi, had a bit of a slip under his feet. I hope he doesn't get better than this, says Rhea. Yeah, it's been an entertaining game so far. Going back across, Beauden Barrett finds Damian McKenzie. Little grubber in behind, attempted Billy Proctor winning the foot race. Close to the sideline, Marnie Libok. No option but to dive on that ball, and it will be New Zealand's line out now from about 25 metres from the line. We have got there, Marnie. You did it well, bro, says Rhea, and all the pressure is on South Africa to win, says John. And this rugby championship is wide open. Yeah, Libok just having to dive on that one. No option, really, as that ball was trying to come back infield. But now, Simasoni Tolkiaho throws it into Tupou, not deciding to go with that rolling maul and instead using that back line once more. Big collision between Savia and Valimza. Told to get no hands in there, and guess who's still in there? I believe it is Malcolm Marks. Didn't hear that call from the ref, Simon Parker. Barrett now goes to McKenzie. Grab it in behind. Foot race for Leroy Carter. Back to cover was Apalele Fassi. Oh, and a bit of push and shove there between Jordan and Fassi. That's a combo going neck and neck with a bit of jersey scragging that you wouldn't have put down at the start of the game. We have got the All Blacks have improved so much, says Mark Williams, and the South Africa team is playing touchies. Why don't they tackle? Says the Purple Seller. And now New Zealand, this is in the middle of the field. This is an easy 3 points, the easiest of the day, I would say, for New Zealand. They've given the ball to Damian McKenzie. He's gone like that. They're bringing on the kicking team. Thank you for your amazing commentary, says Deborah. No worries at all. Anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that like button. I mentioned about it. If South Africa win this game and we hit 2,000 likes, I will get a buzz cut, which I am hesitant to do. I was at the barber's the other day and she said to come back in and we'll film it for the channel as well. So be sure to hit that like button. We are currently sitting on 700, so we're building towards that goal. Be sure to hit it if you haven't already. Also, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We have passed 71,000, now working our way towards 72. And I'm back. What did I miss? Says Studs raising there. So it's been a hectic kind of time in the last few moments. Depending on when you left, I would guess Snyman's out there for the Ludiacha injury. Noah Hotham went off early because of an injury. And then also we have seen Marnie Libok come onto the field. And that is for Sasha Feinberg, Ngumazulu. You should get a buzz cut, whatever happens. Says Byron. Why? And once again, we give the All Blacks points. Oh, so Sasha's actually failed his HIA. So that is why he looked so slow getting up after that tackle on Beauden Barrett. It's because he got concussed from it. But Geordie Barrett taking it inside of the 22, gets around the tackle of Ethan Hooker. Rugby fans have different needs. We all need the Hamish Buzz cut. We all need it, says Powerbite. Now, Christie, that was close to a charge down from Ruan Nokia. Will Jordan going up. Apalele Fassi wins the aerial challenge again. Now, Reinach, 40 metres out from the line for the Springboks. Jasper Visa, one of his first carries with the ball in hand, but he's wrestled down by Simon Parker. Reinach again going back to Mani Libok. It's going to be a high one. Leroy Carter getting out of the way. Chiseling Colby, though, under another high ball. Now, another step from Damian Valimza. A little bit of twinkle toes coming from the box number 12. Now, Moody plays half. Back across Thomas Detoy. There's a real intensity about this match. We're already 30 minutes through. It has been flying by. Mani Libok goes across to Fassi. Ethan Hooker, another step, tries to get through. Damian McKenzie wrestled towards the touchline by Jordan. You are short and you have a receding hairline. Says NZ, right? Tell me something I don't know. Now another step there. Reinach, nicely done. Oxenshare in a bit of space. Gets it up to Malcolm Marks. And it's another knock on from the South Africans. And Rassi is yelling into that headset. I would not want to be that guy who has to listen to what Rassi is saying right now, because he will be sitting there going, no, it wasn't my fault, but just going for the risky offload there. Oxenshare, a man of the match, Chiseling Colby. The thing is, if Colby can come back from those 3 knock-ons at the start of the game to go on to have the game that he's having currently, he would thoroughly deserve man of the match. Oh, Reinach's now down with an injury. Is this an HIA? Because if this is an HIA, the medic is talking to him at the moment as if he's going to be going off the field. Don't look so disappointed, Hamish says to you. Well, it would have been a great attack in play, you know. Goes Reinach though. 1 carry so far. 2 tackles have been made. 2 knock-ons as well. Unfortunately, errors is a number that they've got there too. And too many injuries. Match is tainted. Says JP. All Blacks must cry by your mamas. You are big boys now, Cobus. Heading Street. Oh, St. Francis. I thought that was like your address for a second, like Henning Street. But no, that's your last name and St. Francis there. I was thinking, geez, that's bold. Big scrum from the box. Ball comes out for Satiti again. And now McKenzie just looks to kick this one as far downfield as he can. It goes into touch. I'll show you the game, please. Sadly, due to licensing, any match footage or audio would get us taken straight off of YouTube. So sadly, we are unable to show that footage. But you can watch it on DSTV, Supersport, Stan Sport. Stop knocking on the ball, South Africa. We have a new channel member as well, Dr. Neil Wilson. And there, I appreciate you hitting that button. Poll shows a majority who thought South Africa shall win. Says NZ Riot. And cool commentator says Abdullah. And there, man, it's more entertaining than the game. Says HDB, right. There is the change. Reinach is going off for the HIA. The medical team have said, we've seen signs, Reinach, that you are going to be a little bit wobbly. So it means that Williams will make his way on. They have had to make 2 out of their 3 changes. Where is it? Here. For Reinach. Oh, no, that's bad. No wonder he had to go off. Oxenshire tried to kick his head off on the ground. Like, no one is surviving an Oxenshire shin to the head and not going off for an HIA. Oh, not quite taken cleanly by Kanan Moody. And New Zealand now with a position 22 metres out from the line. What's happened to Sasha? Actually, HIA as well. Went for a tackle on Beauden Barrett. I think hit his head on Beauden's hip. Beauden Barrett with another exit. For South Africa, they have to be very careful here. We're starting to see less and less players available off that bench. It's becoming a bloodbath out there at Sky Stadium. Is it raining? It is not raining. There's a little bit of wind, but it's not even the high ball that we're seeing everyone knocking the ball on for. Yeah, I've got their best commentator for this game, says JD. Thank you very much. Your commentary is excellent, neutral, and very entertaining, says JD. And we are, of course, going to be covering the rest of the Rugby Championship as well. So anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We're currently sitting only the 300 away from 71,500. So let's see if we can get there before the halftime break. Now backline for the South Africans. Valimza. He's had a solid start to this game. Lebok, bit hesitant with that pass to Kanan Moody, who's driven backwards by one of the Barretts. Grant Williams, Nokia, drop ball, goes backwards. South Africa having a jump on it with Mani Lebok, who has got a man right on him for New Zealand and Simon Parker, but it pops out the back of the box. Ruck. It's a little bit close to sounding like I was saying a certain swear word there, but it was Ruck with an R. Now Ethan Hook, his arm got bent a weird direction there. For Hooker, Oxenshire, another big run, tackled by De Groot and Lomax. It's a front row fest there in the tackle department. Lebok goes high. Cheslin Colby has struggled to miss a high ball, but he'll miss that one because it's out on the full from Mani Lebok. Sounds like a 4-play to me. Don't know what HIA is for. However, I'm sitting at work and Hamish makes me feel like I'm on the stadium. Says Carly there. And also we have got there, come on, get the like button. Hamish needs a haircut. I just got a haircut yesterday. So surely I don't need another, but 2,000 likes was the goal. I'm starting to think that was a bit too low because we're already at 931 and we're still in the first half. But now, a little bit of confusion now. Of course, for that to happen, South Africa do also still have to win, which could more than be on the cards with the way that they've been able to attack throughout this one. Hardy Savia popping it back now. Finlay Christie. Quick hands from New Zealand. Billy Proctor straightens. Tackled there for Limza. Locked on to the ball. Gets the turnover for South Africa. He's having a game and a half from that number 12 jersey. Now better step to Toy. Finds the offload to Fussy. Offloads on the inside. Ethan Hooker regathers. No hands. It's the call from the referee. Now Williams back across to Visa Lebok. Going to Kanan Moody. Rush defense from Tupavai. Misses the tackle. Did actually miss 5 last week. And the penalty goes to New Zealand in the breakdown. Okay, Argus Neyman I think he just apologised that he knew he might have got that one slightly wrong. This commentary is way more entertaining than the TV. Oh, they've gone quickly here, New Zealand. Looking to bounce it into touch. What a kick that is from Beauden Barrett. And that is now going to be 7 metres out from the line. It actually bounced in the field of play, went into touch. Apalele Fasi has an injured calf. Ethan Hook has stayed down with an injury. There is almost no one left in the Springboks backline at the moment, but they are trying to continue. Ethan Hook a bit slow. Fasi struggling though with his ankle here. And they have to now play on with 14. Wiley is down. What an awful looking line out there. Both sides not sure what was happening. Damian Valimza stepping through 4 players. But straight on the ball, Will Jordan locks his hands on it. Oh, he's told to get out of it. Must have had a hand down first. Williams goes short side to Arges Neymar. Now out to Malcolm Marks. Has Hooker with him. Bumps off the other hooker in this game. Vai manages to claim it. So they're now back on the halfway line. Scott Barrett goes to Beauden. Now McKenzie thought about it, kicking behind. That's a bit of a rough kick there. In fact, it's absolutely awful from McKenzie. Counter attack now coming from Zealand Colby, who puts the grubber in behind. Barrett knocks it back, and Kanan Moody knocks it on, which means that New Zealand now have got that ball available. Scott Barrett, 10 metres out from their line. New Zealand just seem absolutely rushed here and making a lot of mistakes in quick succession, but it's found touch. New Zealand have lost about 80 metres from trying to take that one quickly, and 7-5 still the score after 37 minutes. Fussy is still down. He does not look good at all, ladies and gentlemen, which I believe means that we would see, if the change is made, Andre Esterhuizen go to 12, Damian Valimza go to number 15. So they have got cover for it, but it means there would be no options. Andre Esterhuizen is on. Another change for South Africa. That is now their 4th sub within 38 minutes. See, that's actually a knock-on from Beauden Barrett first, isn't it? If you look at that one. So this should actually be scrum feed for the Springboks. It's 10-7, not 7-5. Says Vincent there, which is why it says 10-7. We have got there. What type of kick was that? An awful one. Like I said, for Damian McKenzie, just didn't really put the full oomph onto it. Seemed like an indecisive kick, which when you've got about 3 South Africans in a row ready to take that catch, it's going to hurt. And speaking of hurting here, Apalele Fasi, he doesn't look like he can even get back to his feet at the moment. But some real big changes here for the South Africans. New Zealand trying to stay as fresh as they can. Why is there no yellow card for the neck roll? Says Cameron Kay. I'm curious to know whose scrum this is going to be, because I think Beauden Barrett's would actually count as a knock-on first, in which case it would be a South African scrum, in my opinion. But Apalele Fasi, he's going to stay lying down. I think referee just came over and said hard luck. They're actually going to get the stretcher out onto the field for Apalele Fasi so that he doesn't have to make his way. Oh no, in fact, no, it's all right. He is going to get carried off the field, or is he? The medic is doing some donuts with the cart. Oh no, it looks like they are going to need him now. He's driving away from Damian Valimza. That thing looks like it's got a bit of a rough turning circle, so it doesn't want to accidentally hit Fussy with the car. Is your last name Scottish, Hamish? Way back in the day, maybe, but I don't think I've got a huge amount of Scottish in me at all. We have got they better not be milking it, says Zai. Fussy looks hurt. I think it was more of the question of whether or not they were going to make him walk off the field, or get carried by a couple players, or whether they were going to take him off. But this is big concern because, what is Ludiacha's injury? Is he going to be out for the rest of the Rugby Championship? You've got Apalele Fasi, who was very strong under the high ball early. Now they've got Andre Esterhuizen, so in a way they've got one less option. Fasi giving the crowd a round of applause, but you can see how gutted he is. He was having a phenomenal game. We have got there, no one's kings. Must be dropped from the box. And All Blacks win. Why the H as a stretcher. Says Clint Deemer now. Backline movement here for South Africa. In fact, because of that knock on earlier on, I should have mentioned it was just a line out now. But Limza looking for the pass. Goes behind Zealand Colby. That will be a knock on. Yeah, I don't know why I thought there was going to be a scrum, because New Zealand from there did actually run the ball and then go with the line out for South Africa. Get a mohawk, man. Spike it up. Or hide receding hairline, says Bob there. I feel like you just got to accept the receding though, don't you? The more you try and avoid it, the more it's going to happen. It's like trying to wear a hat. If anything, a hat makes it go back further. And I wear a lot of hats, so there you go. Sorry, Fussy says it was Chloe Lelua. Hopefully I've said that correctly. I do apologise if I got that wrong. Great commentary, says Farmer Pura. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Valimza, what a game he's having so far throughout the early stages. Can't fight it, says HDB. You just got to embrace it. At the end of the day, it's called aging, isn't it? It's like if your hair's, changing colour, or if your limbs aren't working like they used to, or, it's just life. Get well soon, says Colour. I assume that's the Fussy and not my receding hairline. But now, 48 and 49, the tackle's made at the moment between the two sides. Big scrum from the box. Too much movement, says Amosha Kelly. And they're going to go down for it again. Damien Dialendi and Creel, I think they'll both probably, Valimza, I'm curious to see how he goes now that he's more than likely been moved to 15. Great work, love the commentary, says Dwayne there. And Rosie Hairline Bro says I. We have there Hulk Hogan. Was half balled at 20 and he did all right. And also we have there, come on Leroy, you're gone quiet, bro. The whole backline for New Zealand's got a little bit quiet in just recent times. Lomax did a great job there. Box 72% territory and 47% possession in the box favour as well. Currently just the 1 minute remaining in this first half. If New Zealand can get out of the half without conceding again, I think they'd be pretty happy. The Bots, if they can score a try before the end or get themselves a penalty, that would be more than enough to keep them right in this contest. Trying to get in the breakdown. That's close for Corlesi, but just misses the chance of getting the steal. Hey, big guy, look at hear your voice. You're my favourite commentator of all time, says Basil. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated you being here for this match, Basil. Now taking Colby round the halfway line. Valimza going across now to Mani Libok. Short pulled Andre Esterhuizen, and that is a new attacking threat that New Zealand now have to deal with. Jasper Visa drops the ball backwards, puts in the fend, bumps off Tolkiaho, and then is hit by Tyrell Lomax round the chest. Williams off to the right, Mani Libok delaying the pass. Kane and Moody knocking it on. And they'll go back now for another scrum with just the 5 seconds remaining. We have got there, I love your hairline, Hamish, says Shazza. We have got there time to wakey New Zealand, says Ruth. But a big collision. Jasper Visa sitting down the big man and Samasoni Tolkiaho. It's not very easy to do. And he also bumped off Tupovai a little bit earlier on. Much better to watch you than DSTV, says Carol Ann. And we have still got plenty more coming up in the near future. So anyone who is new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as there is plenty of rugby still to come. We have got there listening while enjoying Biltong in Canberra. Pity about the commentators. Where'd that go? Commentator's bad here. He needs a buzz cut, says Carlo. Well, if we hit the 2,000, is this another injury for South Africa? Oh no, we've heard there someone has passed the HIA and can come back in the second half. Right, the All Blacks are going to try their absolute best to be able to get this ball in and out as quickly as possible. Okay, so Cobus Reinach was the man who passed his HIA, for anyone wondering. And Modi, I thought you loved scrums. Don't do the comb over, says 20-minute man. My hair's not long enough for a comb over, I don't think. I'd say the All Blacks have sorted out their discipline issues. Nobody will catch them now, says Lyle. And thanks for your commentary listening from Melbourne, says Chips. That's the problem with the Springboks. Too many knock-ons and drop passes. Kicked in a touch by Savia, or in fact that time it was Satiti. And that's going to be half-time now between these two sides in a low-scoring close game in Wellington, 10 points to 7. It is still anyone's game. But you're just in that scenario. Neither of these sides are out of it, but I'm curious about the later stages of this game now. When both sides start to tire that little bit more. Visa on the ground, why is the ball there? Says Clint D. And what a half, eh? A very fast-paced half of rugby. It pretty much felt like about 20 minutes with the exception of all the injuries. Tapaya will make a break and pass to Leroy Carter at the end of the match. Cheers, checkmate. Says Stephen, an awesome commentary, says Gary. And Box looked the more dangerous but not accurate enough. I'd agree. I think that South Africa's attack here, their backline, even with the changes that have had to happen due to injuries and whatnot, I would say their backlines look the more dangerous. But the knock-ons have hurt them big time. If you put on weight, you would look like the Simpsons comic book guy, says Pepper. I think he had long hair, didn't he? And every time, or half time, everyone go hit the like button. And also Thorbella has become a member. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated for your generosity there. And damn you, Penrith, says Zai and Proctor is terrible. Yeah, he's made a couple bad choices again here, Billy Proctor, unfortunately. You got the meme pronunciation. Liam, keep up the good work, bro. Mick on the Gold Coast, Australia. And also Blockbuster, my goodness, fast-paced match is going to be tight. I love the commentary. Sees Bedford there. Morning, Hamish. Slept in. Looks like a tight game. How's it been? It's been hectic, I think is the best way of describing that first half. South Africa had a multitude of chances that they unfortunately weren't able to capitalise on with just the last-minute handling errors, whether that was Kobus Reinach or Colby even had 3 that he did end up dropping early on in that game. Whereas on the other side of it, New Zealand, they have probably been far from their best when it comes to the kind of territory game. I think South Africa is sitting about 75%. But it's been such a hectic pace that I can only assume one of these two sides is going to start tiring in the second half, maybe even both. We've seen 4 injuries for the South Africans in this game. Arge Snyman is on. That is due to the injury of Ludiacha. We've seen Sasha Feinberg Ngume Zulu go off. That was due to a head knock. We have also seen Apalele Fasi go off for an ankle injury, and then Reinach was off for an HIA, but he has passed it, so we'll be able to return to the field. Now, that is actually a massive bonus for South Africa, because with Grant Williams, he can offer you the wing cover and just gives you a little bit more versatility later on in the game. Same great from the Springboks like last week. No points at all, or from all their opportunities, and giving opposition everything on a plate, says Jaden. Yeah, it's just been a lack of clinicalness here from the South Africans, plain and simple. If they can hang on to that ball, they will win this game. That's a bold prediction, definitely because they're down by 3, but I 100% think this attack has been strong enough. It's actually been quite exciting to watch the way that they've been playing. Damian Valimza, I think, is having one of his best games in a Springbok kit in terms of what he's been able to do throughout this match. Brilliant commentary, Hamish. Really enjoying this watching in Singapore, says Justin, so it is greatly appreciated you being here. You're handsome and a funny guy, says JJ. I'll take it. We have there you go, the All Blacks, says Ed. And what will the paper say tomorrow? Probably whoever wins, I would say, will get a bit of praise for this game. No excuses box. They got the ref in the pocket, says Jake. South Africans calling themselves the best, says Junior. They still have the possibility of being that, though. At the end of the day, double world champs in a row. Plus, if they win this game, they go to number 1 in the world rankings. New Zealand drop to 2nd. Or if South Africa win by a big margin, New Zealand will drop to 3rd behind the Irish. I got their Wi-Fi probs, says Karen. It seems to be every time that I, move too much, it starts glitching. So I've got something up like a window that will hopefully help. Not a literal one, but like a internet window, per se. We have got there, brilliant, good commentary, says Albert. Thank you very much, greatly appreciated. And we have got there, go the box. Tell you what, the chat is going extremely quick. We've got a donation from Jason Hamilton in there as well. Don't forget about your head-only Halloween stream, says Jason. Yeah, I'll have to work out what exactly one we're going to be doing that for, as that is just around the corner. And top 2 teams serving up the chaos, and Sasha Feinberg Zulu is always injured. Sadly, a bit injury-prone, but also, the start of this game, he was looking solid. Great commentary, says Doug. Thank you very much. Oh my goodness, there's like 100 comments that just came through. I'm going to have no chance of being able to read all of these ones. It's the fastest first half I've ever experienced. Went to pour brandy and Coke. I came back as halftime. Regardless, it's the fastest paced game I've seen in a long time. And yeah, you just wonder whether or not that is going to be what hurts these two sides. If they are trying to just keep on going 1,000 miles an hour, is that when we're going to see the mistakes start to creep in? Maybe, New Zealand, when you look at it, the only time that South Africa scored was actually when New Zealand threw that interception pass. Whereas outside of that, I believe they should have had 2 or 3 other tries. We have got there, the ref is an absolute idiot. The All Blacks have hands of the rucks and player off the sides and the high tackles, says Mr. Biltong, and good scrums from South Africa. I believe we will get penalties out of these scrums. They were very close, I believe, multiple times in that first half to getting themselves a scrum penalty. And if it wasn't for such a good hook from Tolkiaho, he actually deserves a lot of credit for what has been happening in this first half when it comes to the scrum. Because if it wasn't for him hooking that ball out straight away, I believe they would have been penalised probably 2 or 3 times already in this one. Best rugby commentator is Hamish, handsome and witty too, says Judy there. And also need a better ball out to Carter, pass it straight at him rather than out in front of him. Yeah, it's been tricky to get the ball to Carter, it would seem. And early on, Tupavai with that assist was a massive one. But, yeah, I think if they can get that ball out a little bit more efficiently, because the Boks, they've been doing it all throughout the half. They've been looking sharp, but it's just that drop ball. Whereas New Zealand, it seems like almost a little bit of indecisiveness is what has been hurting them. There are another 100 comments. Is Sasha's knee injured? It was actually his head. And he was a bit slow getting back up, but it looked like he maybe hurt. It just looked like around the midsection kind of, but I think that might have just been from the head knock. We have got there Barrett. is going to surpass Dan Carter. We have got there, come on New Zealand, and am I the only one that believes they fix all sporting events? And don't blame the ref, please, says Junior there. And also, who was the 4 injuries in the Springboks? So it has gone down from 4 to 3 because Kobus Reinach is going to be all right to go into the second half and play. So far, we've seen Ludiacha go off with some sort of leg injury. Alongside that, we've seen Sasha Feinberg and Ngumezulu go off with a head knock. And then also, Apalele Fasi has gone off with an ankle injury. Now, 2 of those could be a little bit more long-term. We have got there, robbed us of a try, says Levi. I assume you're talking about the Cheslin Colby one. To be fair, it was a knock-on. You know, like, I think it's, Arge Sneyman's try, rather. But, yeah, it is a tricky one. We have got there, whereas Tony Ball, I think we've seen it in the first half. 425 metres made, advantage to the Springboks. They've had 4 line breaks. Got a super sticker from Tapan as well. Thank you very much, mate. Greatly appreciate it. Everyone's so generous today on this live stream. There hasn't been many times where we haven't had a message of some sort with a super sticker or a donation through there too. So it is thoroughly appreciated. Hamish shirt and tie stylish 2 weeks in a row, says Rob there. And the ref has been pretty good, to be fair. He's blown it consistently despite missing all the scrum penalties. And quote, "Are you not entertained? What a game," says Mike. Yeah, and it's going to be so fast-paced in the second half as well. And that is where it gets so, I guess, dangerous for these two sides, because whoever gasses out first, I think, is going to lose. How's it going? I'm on the toilet at work, unable to watch, says Cornelius. So very fast-paced start. Springboks probably having about 10 handling errors throughout that first half, which has once again cost them 2 or 3 tries. Outside of that, though, this young backline's looking sharp. Colby's come right after having a few early injuries in that department too. And then from there, Sasha was doing well, but then he went off for the HIA. Ludiach has gone off due to his injury as well. So there's been plenty of the injury department throughout this game. And hopefully it won't be too frequent throughout the second half either. Now we have got there, no Bok, no Bry. And also All Blacks, we saw, we conquered. I don't think this game's over yet, though. I think we've still got plenty more time on the clock. And once again, where is Tony Ball? I thought Tony Ball we did see throughout that first half in the way that South Africa were actually attacking. And get the box gone. So they have a clue. And the ref is always at to blame. Tell you what, the bots are going absolutely insane at the halftime, right? They've obviously decided that they maybe watched the game for the first half as the time wasting. It hasn't been too bad. I think we've had enough injuries throughout that. Like, it doesn't affect it too much. How could they say 1 if the ref is rubbish, says Levi. And also, do we have any players left? Someone, a moment, we'll go like this, we'll go like that, and we will go and show the benches for this game. There we go. These are the players who will be making their way off the bench. We've also got Tennis. Thank you very much for hitting that button. It is hugely appreciated for your generosity. You know, the bots are having a field day at the moment. They are putting in more effort than the Argentines in the last 10 minutes. I got their Springboks paid the ref wrong. Started watching on Stan Sports and turned off because his commentary is better. Thanks, bro, says Stephen. No worries at all. And we are going to be here for the rest of the Rugby Championship as well. So, of course, be sure to check that out. We have got there Leroy Carter. Is having a game. Great to see Carter in the ABs. We have got Gay, says Peter Eric. We don't need to know your sexuality in the chat, mate. We have got there brilliant or ref is brilliant, says Murray. Our Warriors lost to the Panthers. And also, what team has the ball? Says Kid Bandit. Well, we are currently at half-time in this contest, but currently South Africa are sitting with the 5-3 split, although for the second half, it's actually become a 4-1 split at this point in time. Because of all of the injuries, New Zealand, they have ended up with the injury of Noah Hotham, so they have still got the 5-2. But South Africa down to the 4-1 at this point in time. Unfit Bok. I don't know if it's down to fitness. I think it's just the handling. Unfortunately, it just seems to be something slipping up in terms of trying to get that one going. I'm watching from Dunedin. And also the box here, Sean. And second half, South Africa are going to try first. I think that there's a good chance that they come out and really start to get going. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And we've got to remember the last 20 minutes of the last game, South Africa were absolutely on fire. In your opinion, who do you think is going to win? Well, my original score prediction, I think it's going to be quite wrong. Because I went 33-27. Now, I actually could also argue that had it not been for like a couple knock-ons, we could have been possibly before. There must be a ball issue. Although New Zealand haven't dropped it anywhere near as much, which is a bit weird. The fact that it's only one side that are dropping the ball at 5-2 versus 4-1 benches could be decisive. There is a no or more no ones on the bench box. And I'll say yes, I expected more points from both teams, says Studs Razor. Maybe that more clinicalness comes in the later stages of this type of match. Going to be a new record, beating the All Blacks with a 4-1 split. We should also diplomatic, stay as sweet as you are, says Michelle. And go the bot go, they can do it, says Hadies. And away it's going. 5 bot players will finish the game. And what's the weather raining? No rain whatsoever, which is why it's so confusing. There's a little bit of wind, which I think is affecting the high ball. Why fitness? It's the first half, says Clinton D. Yeah, I think that both of these sides, with the fast pace that we've seen, they will slow down a little bit later on. Will you be commentating the Women's World Cup quarterfinals, South Africa versus New Zealand? We certainly will be. We will be doing that live stream in about 4 hours' time. In fact, a little bit less than that. So, of course, be sure to tune in for that one as well. You have to have the ball to drop it, give it the position. Do you know what fitness is? Says Clint D. Is it fitting this? No, never mind. We have got there, what's your opinion on the TMO coming after the kick? I think that, it is within the laws. It just took a little while. But then at the same time, I would argue that because of how quickly Sasha wanted to take that kick, maybe he already knew that there was a chance of the knock-on in there and they just wanted to get through it as much as they can. We have got there replace the ref. However, their discipline is one of rugby's core values. We do Ramfurly Shield. I wanted to, but we have got the all-nighter here. And then alongside that, we have got an all-nighter tomorrow. So that might be the time that I have to sleep, unfortunately, while I watch the game. The game is on DSTV, Stan Sport, Super Sport, and all those great options. Sky Sport as well. Waz just lost. So close again. 1 year, it is going to be the Waz season, but sadly just not quite yet. And to be fair, playing the Panthers is always going to be tough, isn't it? We got the unfit All Blacks. Clear hand through the ruck, causing knock-on. Says Nate. And there as well. I know that there was one later on that we saw a Tupovai hand involved in one of the breakdowns. Send ref for an HIA. Says Dylan there. You want a lot of coffee? I actually don't drink coffee, believe it or not. Which most people don't believe. We have got there 2 things makes you a saver. Bry's on Sundays and crying about the refs, says Jake. I'm sure there will be plenty of Bry's around throughout today. Definitely with that Women's World Cup game a bit later on. And whose ball says Mohamed is currently still half-time. So we are just about back for the second half of this contest. Do you play Rugby Championship Fantasy? I don't. I'm terrible at predictions. Like really bad that it's almost ironic how many I get wrong. So for that reason, I normally try and avoid any sort of like fantasy side of things. I see that at the moment we are sitting on 1,227 likes, ladies and gents. So anyone who hasn't already, be sure to hit that like button. It is greatly appreciated. How do you smooth the voice with so many games? I don't really know. I drink water every once in a while and then just pretty much hope that it doesn't go away. And each till the referee make mistake, the right calls. There's a yellow on the AB's player all day long, says Isaac. And see you at the finish line, H. Says the AI underdog pick. They are just having a chat with one of the with one of the South African assistant coaches, Felix Jones. Just the one try for New Zealand, that was Leroy Carter. Other try for the Springboks, it was Cheslin Colby. Who are you supporting? I just hope it's a great second half, similar to the first. If it's this close, we see at the moment Peter Seftoy and Sil Kolisi both having a chat here with the referee. I wonder if that's something to do with the breakdown. The ref missed a forward pass in Australia versus Argentina. They certainly did. And quite a bad forward pass too. We see there Reinach. Oh. Okay, Reinach has stayed off, ladies and gentlemen. So they have decided to leave Williams out there. We have got there win or lose. We Bryce, says Nicolette. And by the looks of it for New Zealand, there's just Noah Hotham who has made his way off. Do you play rugby? I used to, but I don't play it now. Too much rugby takes place on a Saturday for me to be able to play it as well. Plus, I just would not be very good now. Oh, yeah, okay, that's just your full-time job. It is not. It is my hobby on the weekends. One day it would be nice to have it as full-time, but for now it is just the hobby side of things. Although it does take up a lot of hours over the weekend. If you're ever wondering if there's a rugby game on, we'll probably be live on the channel. We have got our Reinach is back. Is he? Oh, yeah, no, he is. So the lineup that they had was slightly wrong. Reinach is out there. So Grant Williams has returned to the bench. The second half, Reinach kicks it high. Cheslin Colby chasing after this one. He can be a game changer, but that is a great take from Damian McKenzie. Actually ended up locking arms with Colby there. Bit of an awkward one for both men. Arge Snyman getting a tackle on Geordie Barrett. Those two were teammates in the URC. Now, Wallace Satiti almost finds the break of the line, offloads to Scott Barrett. Thomas DeToy told to get out of there due to Oxenshire. Still in the breakdown. McKenzie going back across Will Jordan. Quick hands. This is nicely done. Rush defence. That was 4 from Savia. Out to Proctor. Now return for the scrum. Are you a construction worker, Hamish? Of sorts, I guess you could say. I think we look better with Williams. Cobus made a lot of mistakes, says HDB. Although I think with the other 2 injuries in the backs, they've decided that they do need Cobus Reinach to stay out there a bit longer if he can, for the sake of having that option later on of Williams, just in case there is another injury. A great mock defence there. You're just rushing up. Well, it was Cheslin Colby got in that early shot. We have got, okay. Couple more changes here for South Africa. Interesting choice to give Thomas DeToy and Oxenshire 1 minute in the second half to then switch them both. So that'll be Jan Hendrik Wessels and Wilco Lowe, the 2 men from the Bulls in the URC. Next scrum will be interesting. It certainly will be now that we see those changes being made. Big Dwayne Vermeulen running the waters today. Kwaka Smith, is he? He's the... Oh no, they've also got Manus van der Merwe. I was about to say he's the lone forward remaining at this stage. What do you think of Ruben Love? It'll be interesting to see how he goes later on in this game. I just don't know who they're going to actually put him on the field for in this case. They could have a backline with about 5 fullbacks across it for New Zealand if they're not careful. But scrum feed now. Both front rows collapsing. And New Zealand again are under pressure at scrum time. Score says Desnikai at the moment it is 10 points to 7. 42 minutes gone. This game is tough. Says Unbeatable Man. Construction and Lego blocks. No, that's way too complicated for my pay grade. You ever tried to take a Lego sculpture apart? It's just hard work. Was Quagga replaced? Quagga is still on the bench. He's the only guy, except for Manus van der Merwe, who hasn't replaced someone as of yet. And I think that they'll be a little bit hesitant to put him out there. Because, you know, with the amount of injuries we've seen already in this game, you definitely wouldn't want to jinx a big push from the box. That is the advantage at scrum time. Reinach now trying to get a pick and go going. That was a high tackle from Binley Christie. Breaking the line for Sio Kolisi. That's some pace that we haven't seen from Sia in a while. Andre Estes, a cutout pass. Going to Cheslin Colby, who steps around Leroy Carter. The veteran shows up the rookie and gives them the little look back to Colby. Gets himself the double. And is looking to become the 3rd Springbok in history to be able to get a hat-trick against New Zealand. But that is going to be in the 43rd, or we'll go 44th minute of this game. But a great start to the second half from the box. Let's go, says Lilia B. I love this commentary, says Stephen. But Sio Kolisi, I don't think I've seen that man run so quickly in the last little while. It's the wide pass to Cheslin. And then Leroy Carter just getting sold to the outside, cutting back in Colby. Now Mani Libok, another important kick here. I think Ioane should have been starting. He would have made that tackle, says Dylan. And TMO frantically checking for a reason to disallow it from Mani Libok. Gets the kick from the sideline and really shutting up all the haters who said that man can't kick in the important scenarios. That was a very crucial one, and he's got it over. And what a scrum that was. The scrum's going to change the game. I can tell you that right now. If we see 5 scrums throughout the second half, all fed by the box, they are winning at least 3 penalties here, if not more. And this is where we might see New Zealand have to start thinking about going to that bench. Leroy Carter chasing after this one. He wants to get a try back after Colby just got one down the other end. The box forwards are gas, says Floyd Kingy, although you wouldn't think it from the way that Sia ran through there. They held a Khaleesi eat at halftime. Well done for that dry bock, says Speed. Now going high, McKenzie calling for it. Colby's got it again under the high ball. Now 40 metres out. Going off to the left-hand side. Mani Libok goes to Andre Estes and Valimza. Cut out past Ethan Hooker now. Down the wing. Tackle made by Proctor and Parker. Now Estes and starts pumping his legs. Oh, that's a penalty. or could have been, against Roa Nokia for in off his feet. I don't think Finley Christie really pulled out of that one, more so just tried to dodge the incoming Nokia. Now kicked him behind from McKenzie. Finding a bit of space, Colby covers it well, and this is where he's dangerous. He's got Mani Libok next to him. Colby kicks it high. That one's going sideways. Carter goes up and wins the aerial challenge. And now breaking the line down the wing. Offloads up to Scott Barrett, who's driven towards the touchline. Christie bundled into touch by Asper Visa. And Christie's holding his chin there. Quick throw from the South Africans. New Zealand not noticing now for Limsa. Looking for the 50-22. Jordan gets back to cover. Phenomenal work. And that was crucial right there. Bowden Barrett going across to Damien for Limsa. It's a battle of the gas tank and whose is deeper. That one doesn't find touch. Barrett slow to get back onside for the Kiwis. Now, Cheslin Colby, he's hit by Tupolvai. Didn't look like a lot of arms involved there, and there is the advantage now, and they'll go back for the penalty. Double blow of the whistle here too. Vai now having a bit of a conversation with Reinach and Nokia. This might be something more than just a penalty here. Tupolvai, very much a lack of arm wrap. Colby stayed down. Now, initially it looked like he was going to be all right, but maybe this is going to be the Tupolvai controversial challenge here on Cheslin Colby. 7.6Ks. Are your only fans on here? Says the bro. Right. The referee just warning about the scuffle there. Colby milking it. Says Zai there. Was Mark's not high on Chrissy? He did hit him on the chin. It was actually Jasper Vesa though. We're going to see the replay now. Okay, so Colby bounced out of that collision with Tupavai. There wasn't a lot of arm wrap there from Vai, but he did hit the ball. So I think it will just stay as a penalty. Then from there, Colby did end up stepping, getting round another defender, and then stayed down. Like they're saying there, it might just be that Colby is exhausted from how much he's been running. He's been going full length for the field time and time again. But this looks like Grant Williams is getting prepared to make his way onto the field. If that is for Cheslin Colby, that is game-changing. Please give us another one, Sia. And WDF says Charlie. Colby so far, 2 tries scored, 6 carries, 106 metres made, 3 line breaks throughout it. Oh, we have go there. This is why New Zealand and South Africa is the greatest rivalry. I thought Finley got head-highed earlier. Says Zai there. And also Harry is hit. Says Bruce. Do you talk in your sleep? Sometimes, from what I've heard. I also one day accidentally did sleep commentary. My mum thought I was on the phone with someone at like 6 a.m, but really I was just talking the rugby in my sleep. Over there, Williams faster than Colby, says DG. He just needed a breather, says Junior there. I love the intensity, says Craig. And there too, but this is a relatively long stoppage, so you would assume in this case that Colby will not be able to continue for the South Africans as he is still down. There was a no-arms tackle, it was, which is why Tupavai has been penalised. Always like to play dirty, says Nicolette. Okay, no, Colby's going to continue. He's just still puffing a little bit. I think he might have ended up a bit winded, but he's going to be all right by the looks of it. And he is going to continue in this game. An easy 3 for South Africa could be on the cards. You have no TV listening to your commentary. Oh no, Grant Williams making his way on, but I believe that's actually going to be for... Oh no, it is for Cheslin Colby. The medic I thought was going to leave him for now, but it looks like now Colby's going to have to go off. Is it for an HIA? It's an HIA for Cheslin Colby. He didn't get hit in the head from what I saw. Interesting. Okay, Justin Marshall's just questioning it. He's saying there was no head contact there. So maybe when he hit the ground, he hit his head, Cheslin Colby. Now, getting ready to line this one up for Mani Libok. You live with your mum, says Meteor. Yeah. Houses are expensive, and that one's going to go over from Mani Libok. 3 from 3 today, making the score 10 points to 17. We have there no time to dig in the ABs. Was that penalised while Christie gets hit in the face, not even looked at? As Africa cheating as usual, says Johnny. Tell you what, it's going to be a controversial last 30, I think. But it's okay. Game's still taking place. We're going to see some brilliant action. We can complain about any sort of decisions after the game's over. How about that? We'll worry about it later. Sleep commentary, new term perhaps, says Clint D. Probably, but I was actually commentating a game while sleeping, so I guess it is the terminology that one would use. Now, put the ball high. Ethan Hooker trying to line it up, and he has dropped that ball backwards. Khaleesi claimed it. Now Satiti, brilliant work from Malcolm Marks to jump onto it. Finley Christie looking for the steal. I'd be proud to say with you one, Mum, I absolutely am, because she's been on the channel a few times, and she puts up with me making all this noise. We go there, thanks for the commentary, mate, says Steve. Now Reinach rolling this one back again. Barrett looking for that charge down again. I don't think he'll be a mile off getting taken off. Leroy Carter going up for it alongside Ethan Hooker, who manages to just keep that ball on the box side. Marnie Lebok again looking to run it through to Mighty Williams, making the low tackle. Okay, that's Reinach. The right-hand side again. Arges Neyman kicking in behind, but limbs are just starting to play a little bit of that territory. Amy's losing the aerial battle again, says Rodney, and this is why this is more so the tactic we should have seen from South Africa in match number 1. Like, it would have been much more effective, I believe. Very fast game, so many injuries, says Joss. Yeah, there's been a ton of them throughout this game. In fact, there has hardly been a sub that has been made in this game as of yet that wasn't to do with some sort of knock-on. Some sort of injury, I should say. But that one's going to be kicked high from Valimza from inside of his 22, running onto it. Christie went up for it. Barrett does end up just swatting it backwards, that being Scott Barrett under the high ball. Billy Proctor looking for a gap, fends off Jasper Visa, can't get around Valimza, but gets back up to his feet, gives it to Geordie Barrett. Ref's blown a whistle. I think that'll be for the Barrett knock-on from a bit just before. Remember, Coley went off for the World Cup, and guess what happened? Says Meteorite. And we have got there disrespectful All Blacks wankers. When Box kicking it all bad as the Welsh tosses. Says Richard there. Jeez, at least you didn't say what you really felt. We have got there South Africa crying while the team are in front. Says MSF. Yeah, just Finley Christie knocking it into Barrett, and then Barrett slapping it back there. This game is a true test. Bring on the World Cup. We see there, that's a sad sight to see. Upper Fussy has a moon boot on, which means that he is going to be out for quite some time, I would think. Possibly, I would say at least a month or two. But yeah, hopefully that's the most serious injury out of this game. There's been far too many. Turnovers conceded 10 so far from South Africa. 7 handling errors have been considered. I'm here, Hamish, Vic and Vern. Way too biased in these games, says I love. That's another free kick for South Africa. I'll be honest. If you're New Zealand, if you could choose between a free kick at scrum time or a penalty, that's probably the better option, isn't it? But of course, if you do it too many times, then you're going to end up conceding the penalty anyway. And Fussy says Lilia there. It does mean that he'll be missing for that Sharks first few rounds of the URC at least. Any update on Colby? So he went off for an HIA. They couldn't find any clear head contact. So it must have either been, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, whiplash, or maybe when his head hit the ground. But there's a chance that he comes back out after a bit of a spell and he'll be fresh for the last 20 minutes. Now, going in to touch there. Nice kick downfield. We've got disrespectful tosser All Blacks when Box kicking the ball. Says Richard, is that Scott Barrett that you're talking about who tried to charge it down, or is there someone else that I should be looking out for with the nickname Tosser? Cheslin is hot. The All Blacks doesn't want to hit him. I don't know what hit him. And no free soft tries. And whose ball says Mohadina. It is going to be the South African line out, sitting about 42 metres out from their line. A hand on both, and also, I believe that's going to be on the side of New Zealand. Yes, it is. Vai and Noki are both 50-50 in that line out. Vai just managing to rip it in terms of the All Blacks' favour. Geordie Barrett booting this one high. Valimza lining it up. He's missed that one of his first under the high ball that he has struggled with. Here comes Leroy Carter with a run forward. Tackled by Seal Kolesi. Now Christie across now to the left-hand side. McKenzie rush defence from the box. May come into backfire. Yes, flat pass from Savia, debatably forward. Now Vai, that's one hand on the ball for the Box. Told to get out of it though. I say to Mighty Williams. Andre Estes are not happy about that one. And him and Mighty Williams have exchanged some words. And I'm sure that one is not going to be over. Now, Samasoni Tokyo rush defense from the box again. Jordan goes straight through. Passes and it's too low for Leroy Carter to get. Billy Proctor couldn't quite reach out either. And Carter, it was always going to be a tough one. I don't actually think it was his pass to take. But Proctor not getting a fingertip to it. Running rugby is more exciting. All that's bad tonight. We're going to see it here. Will Jordan attacking hard, and then, that's got to be Proctor's crack. In that scenario, he hasn't even really fully extended. He pulled out of it, and Carter, it was always going to be a hard pickup in a dewy field. I bet my salary when it comes to Colby. Sorry I'm late. I watched my team watching the Warriors getting smashed. Wasted my time, says. I was Mr. and Mrs. Money. Unfortunate for the New Zealanders to get knocked out of the comp, but Carter's disappointed. For a player of his caliber, he feels like he should have been able to take that one, yet it was only round his foot. We have got the new channel member, Taro. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. You have access to those emojis on the channel. 27 minutes remaining in this contest. Can't just run the ball for 80 minutes. At this level, that's 1970s. Says Clint D. And evening, Hamish, says David the Mod. Welcome in. Great job, Hamish. Great game, says Danielle. And there as well. But this scrum, this will be a big one from the South Africans. They have already been able to get those solid pushes. Get a few penalty advantage. Sorry to say, but the Wires kind of suck, hey, bro. Says Diane Neo there, welcome in. Ball's gone in, and penalty to South Africa again at scrum time. The All Blacks have had no answer to the Bok Pack 20 kg advantage at the start of the game. Okay, we're just here and there. Too much pressure in the scrum. New Zealand collapsing under it. And this is Test Rugby, says Jason. Need that 2011-2015 All Blacks energy back. And the scrum is a big issue for New Zealand, ain't it? Says Graggle. Between these two, the injury list is horrific. Says Jimbo. Yeah, I think we've seen about 6 players down already. What's the score, guys, at the moment? The score is 17 points to 10. Penalty count's pretty low, to be fair, in this game. We have seen 5 against New Zealand, 4 against the South Africans. Don't cry, Hamish, says Catherine. I'm not sure whether or not you've seen someone crying, but I don't think they make this face. I think normally it's supposed to be slightly sad, isn't it? Jeslyn Colby got hurt, says Alexander, and it looks like Tokiaho. He will make his way off the field. That is for Brodie McAllister. New Zealand need to score next. And oof, the box turning the screw in the scrum. And he ain't crying, he's calling it as it is. And great commentary, Hamish, all the way from South Africa. And come on, get those likes up, says Wild Lobster there too. Artegas Neyman, nicely claimed in the line out. Now attack and run forward from Kolisi. This has been a standout game from him as well. Definitely that breaking run earlier on. And now going up for the ball. Nicely taken from Damian McKenzie. Finlay Christie. Across to the right-hand side again. Tupove. Back into the pocket. Bowden Barrett goes high. Chasing and running on to this one. Geordie Barrett unable to claim it. Peter Steph to Toy now with possession on the halfway line. New Zealand starting to slow down a little bit here, whereas the box seem like they've found that next gear for Limsa. Forward pass out to Ethan Hooker right in front of the ref. Curious if that one's going to get called back, but Savia ripping it away for New Zealand anyway. Bowden Barrett off to the right-hand side. McKenzie has a bit of a juggle with the ball. Wallace Satiti, lot of box in front of him. He's hit by Sneeman Marks and also Grant Williams. Go the box, says Jubulani. And box one, Trick Ponies. Well, at the moment, that trick has got them a 7-point lead in this contest to Mike D. Williams. Tackle 30 metres out from the line. Little chip behind from Bowden Barrett. Is he a one-trick pony? It's gone to Jasper Fessa on the halfway line, and New Zealand give the possession away yet again. Finlay Christie in the breakdown told to get out of it. And he couldn't quite believe his eardrums. And, the play, little knock on. In fact, from Kobus Reinach in the breakdown, which does give New Zealand now the scrum on the halfway line. Bowden Barrett kicking it away. They're trying things, New Zealand, but are they working? Or is it just a case of, in a game where you are lacking a bit of possession, giving it straight back to the other team? Brilliant commentating. I love it. Go the box. Says Owen there. And anyone's game. It absolutely is. This whole rugby championship, that could pretty much be the slogan of this competition. It is anyone's game, and that is what we've seen again here between these two sides. Still 24 minutes remaining as well. And Hamish just woke up and popped in. Your opinion on who is looking like winning? At the moment, I would say if we see more set pieces, South Africa have got this game. But if New Zealand can just get a little bit more of that free-flowing rugby with their backline going, I think that they may be able to find a couple opportunities, but they're not going to win it with a set piece. I can tell you that right now. Cheslin will come back if that is the plan. I think Colby will be back. Wait a minute. Did they just say Cheslin won't be back? Oh, big tip tackle from Jasper Wiese, but he landed safely. Wiese was just testing the waters of whether or not he can get suspended twice in a row. Now Christie goes across to Leroy Carter. He scored the only try for New Zealand in this contest. Now backline again. The Boks have been able to defend very nicely. Little pop pass from Bowden Barrett to Billy Proctor. Gets back up as another crack. Didn't look like a huge amount of arms from Reinach in the way that he made that tackle. It was more of his head that he was using. Now Geordie Barrett, Peter Steph-Toy making the tackle on him. Still 23 minutes remaining. Inside ball from Will Jordan to Tamaiti Williams. And get him, brother. Says Junior. Now Scott Barrett. Few crucial meters there for New Zealand. And the penalty awarded. Right now, what do they All Blacks do? Christie wanted to take quickly but wasn't on the mark. No arms, just head. Yeah, it looked like, I don't know whether or not it's the best way of trying to tackle if you're just going to use your head in a tackle scenario, because that would bloody hurt, I would think. It looks like the All Blacks, they are looking towards the corner here, and it looks like both captains being called over by the referee. Oh, okay. Referees just said, I'm hearing too much crying over nothing. Didn't mince the words, said both captains, stop your team's whining. We have got their line out, it's over, says Junior. And good to see your commentary. Also, I hope you're doing well, says Devana. Doing very well. Excited for this game and the finish that we have got on the cards, as well as that next game, South Africa versus New Zealand in the women's quarterfinal of the Rugby World Cup. We'll be covering that one on the channel as well. So anyone who is new, of course, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are closing in on 75,000 subscribers. So if you want to help us get there, be sure to hit that button. We are also less than 600 away from 72,000. Barrett's boys carrying. How long is the game? Still another 22 minutes left. And Corlisi's been taken off the field for Quagga Smith. He's had a good game. I'm actually giving him a little round of applause. I should do it higher so that it doesn't sound dodgy. But Brodie McAllister throwing it into the front, taken by Scott Barrett. And the penalty for South Africa. I believe that is for offside. Oh, and Wallace Atiti gets pushed over by Visa. The Springboks will win, says Bjorn. And great commentary, Hamish says Boris there, 80 minutes, David, 80 minutes. Oh, here we go there, stop whining. Says Midlands there, and you had a good game, says Junior, and that's huge. It's a massive one there. New Zealand just joining that rolling maul incorrectly with the man in front. Yep, 80 minutes is not over, says Paul Black. And I mean, Australia is probably the perfect example of that. They were down by 21 points to end up getting very close at the end of it. I can see a head shaving coming on. Says Jane, I wonder whether or not the barber will offer me a discount, seeing as I was in there only a few days ago. In fact, I was there yesterday. So I got charged the full price for the first haircut. Surely she'd be like, nah, you can just, quickly get this one done. It would take like a minute. And Dad Ref will turn this car around if the kids do not behave. I'm curious, when last did see her play a full game? Oh, it's been a while, but I would say that what he's been able to do throughout the 57 minutes that he played in this game is more substantial than most players have throughout their 80. So I think it's more so what they do with it while they're out there. But this has been one of Kolisi's better games that we've seen in quite some time. What happened to Colby? Did end up getting a collision in the chest. Oh, good aerial challenge. And Ethan Hooker again manages to win the air ball. But yeah, Colby not returning by the sounds of it. Now Manny Lebok, big wide cutout pass taken by Andre Estes, who's going to back himself to put it on the outside to Moody. Will Jordan caught off the wing. Grant Williams now with that explosive pace. Ball to Valimza, grab it in behind. Chance for Caden Moody, and he can't regather the ball. Just short of the try line, and that could have been done and dusted for the green and gold had they scored that one. Ref complaining about the whining. Well, if you look hard enough, there was always something to complain about, says Rob. And show us on the TV, says Nicole. You can get it on your TV with DSTV, Sky Sport. Stan Sport is another option. Are you supporting South Africa or New Zealand? I just hope it's a good test match. And I feel like so far throughout the 60 minutes, we have seen just that. And she South Africa, Savage says Raggle there, but now New Zealand 5 metres out from the line with Brodie McAllister, who's hardly had a minute in Test match rugby. It looks like now Quinn Tupaia making his way onto the field. That will be for Billy Proctor, who is limping a little bit here as he makes his way from the field. How good was Moody there? Covered a lot of ground. 2,000 lights reminder, please. Says Ben there. And also, look, says Rick, what are we looking at? Now line out throw here for Brodie McAllister. New Zealand under the pressure. Looks like they haven't quite made up the decision in terms of where they actually want to go. Tupavai is at the front. Oh, now they're going to switch it up a little bit. Bit of a set piece. Ruan Nokia managing to skill that line out clean. 5 metres out from the line for the South Africans. Jan Hendrik Vessels. 1 metre short. This could almost be the game. New Zealand, though, in the breakdown. Trying to rip it away. Here's Quaka Smith. Now Reinach. Back across to the right-hand side. Mani Libber. Oh, what hands from Damian Palimza. He deserves a try, and he's got it for the South Africans, who get themselves another one. And he is fired up beyond belief at the moment for Limza. Massive game from him and a massive moment in this Wellington Test match. The voodoo or the hoodoo around this ground looking like it could continue. The All Blacks winning just 4 of their last 11 could become 4 of the last 10. Now it will be 4 of the last 11 if they're not careful. But Damian Valimza, that is a catch that he had no right to be able to actually grab. It was a mile behind him, but he grabbed it out of thin air and then beats all the defenders, gets over the line, and a massive celebration from Valimza as well. Let's go, says Lilia B. And Valimza man of the match. He almost has to be. Like, yes, Colby got himself the 2 tries, but then at the same time with Colby's early knock-ons, I would still argue that Valimza has had the more consistent game in that regard. But sounds like more changes are about to be made here. South Africa happy with what is going on this far. It's not clicking the lights, people, says Byron. Are you supporting South Africa or New Zealand? Says Close. You've asked that 50,000 times and I've already answered you. We have got there, go the box, says Sandra. We've got South Africa, says Bongani. And also go the box, says Meta. And he is firing up the crowd, Damian Valimza, telling them to be a little bit louder for the final 18 minutes of this game. In the park was a fluke, says Gopal. Am I late, says Carlin? Only 62 minutes late, but it is heating up for the final moments of this game. But now, looking to get this steal there in the breakdown, not able to. We see Funda Merva making his way on the field for Malcolm Marks. So let's back the other one. Well, we also need to mention now, if the Boks win this game by 16, now that is not saying that they will, that is not saying that they won't. But if they win this game by 16, New Zealand drop to 3rd in the world rankings, Ireland go to 2, and South Africans go straight back to number 1 at this stage of the Rugby Championship. Now passing off to the left-hand side for Limza with another kicker behind. That time it has gone into touch, but that's not the end of the world here for the South African team, because they will be more than happy with the set piece being a factor. I just don't understand our selections. Says Dylan there in full time, 27 points to 24. Says Junior and Damien. And it's going to be now booted downfield, 25 metres out from the line. New Zealand, every time they've tried a little chip or a little grubber, they have lost at least 30 metres. Oh, referee's gone down with a tweak here. I mean, to be fair, everyone else has been injured in this game. All Blacks need some firepower off the bench. Who do they have? They do still have Ruben Love, and tell you what, he's going to have a game and a half when he makes his way on. Awful line out again from New Zealand, and South Africa take it back, but it's knocked on this time by the Boks. A bit of a lifeline for the Kiwis. Passed out wide. Will Jordan will sink the slipper into it. He has given that a fair old hoof. Maybe too much. Ball's still rolling full field. It has travelled, and they will go right back to where Will Jordan kicked it from. But we are seeing signs of what happens when you don't play another hooker for the Kiwis and then expect them to come in one of the biggest matches, if not arguably the biggest match of his career, and is expected to know how to play like a Cody Taylor or a Taukiaho. Falling at the seams this team, but that one just rocketed on from Will Jordan. He is smiling. He couldn't quite believe the bounce, but now South Africa, they are once again in the perfect position to create an opportunity. They have got themselves a scrum 22 metres out from New Zealand's line, and we all know what's been happening at scrum time. Now, Big chance again for the South Africans. Cobus Reinach, he is shouting at his fullback, demanding that they put the big push in. I've got their ABs. Oh, where'd that go? That one disappeared in an instant, but ABs have depth everywhere. Now, 65 minutes gone. Cobus Reinach. Oh, big push from New Zealand who win a scrum penalty. Tell you what, that was not on the bingo card for this matchup. A scrum against the feed to Mighty Williams. Just pushed like he's never pushed before. And that has gave New Zealand once again a massive lifeline. We have got their Mock, says K, and there as well. And let's go the Bockies. And well, who expected that? Absolutely no one. That is who. But to Mighty Williams, just crumbled backwards. That front row. And how much time is left? Still another 14 and a half minutes. Couple more changes now. Duplessis Karefi making his way onto the field for the Kiwis, and off the bench as well, we see Ruben Love to make his way on. Not now. I've also been saying Razor are not the one. I want to get Mouldy running that team. They will play the best combos. And AB's playing dirty. I hope they lose by 25 points. And that is another great bit of work from South Africa at line-out time where they have dominated the set piece today. Argus Neyman. Do you see that Ruben Love is on the field for Leroy Carter? So New Zealand now have 5 fullbacks in their back line. You'd like to think there'd be cover defence in the later stages of the game. Reinach, again with a big box kick. One going for a bit more depth, but the Springboks chasing it hard. McKenzie knocking it on. And first one was from McKenzie, second from Williams. It will be another South African scrum. So are you bringing the lads from last week to eat some crows? Says Big Rig. I will invite them. I know that Vic and Vern are extremely keen to come on. I don't know whether or not Tony and Mark will be, but we'll still extend the invitation to Tony. We have got there well done in the box, says Valerie, although I will have to say straight away that we'll have to censor a lot, or at least apologise for the bad language, I would think. Mackenzie's bad, says Katurv there, and come on New Zealand, win or lose, boys. And bring the heat, boys, says Nicholas. And the thing is, we've got another match around the corner too, between New Zealand and South Africa. It will be for the Women's World Cup quarter-final. New Zealand coming in as big favourites, but if this game's anything to go by, you know, the Box will be on a high. They will be ready to go, and just hopefully it'll be an extremely close game. I know empathy for South Africa. Burns none at all, says Graggle. I just know once you go left, there is no more coming to green, says Nikki. But now, big run from Andre Estes and in a huge collision in the middle of the field. Cobus Reinach now flat ball on the outside. For Limser again has pulled off a miracle catch. He was lying on the ground. There's an advantage now to New Zealand. Love your work, Kiwi lad, says Giovanni. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Now Finlay Christie back to Will Jordan, New Zealand. Again going to sink the slipper into it with Bowden Barrett. Finding a bit of open space. The Springboks have no one back here. But now retreating Grant Williams gives it to Ethan Hooker. He's really stepped into his own and he's gone through another gap there. Ethan Hooker outpacing absolutely everyone except for Will Jordan, who manages to make the tackle. Counter ruck coming from New Zealand. Nothing going. Cobus Reiner selling the dummy from Mani Lebok, who I think a lot of people need to apologise to after the way that he has played today and how much they didn't want to see him off the bench for this contest. Pollard who? But now 12 metres or 12 minutes remaining in this game. Andre Estes and again throwing himself at Damian McKenzie. Reinach. Cross to Jasper Visa. Cross kick from Mani Libok. Peter stepped to Toy. Gets the bounce of the ball. He's tackled in the air past the Quagga Smith. And he gets the try. Not sure what that commentary was. I think I was trying not to run out of air, so I was like, I'll just try and find a different part of my throat that's not in use. Which is a statement and a half, but the try for Quagga Smith. And that is phenomenal work from the Springboks. And again, New Zealand kicked that ball downfield. South Africa run it the whole way back, and they are working their way towards some sort of record margin here, ladies and gents, if they aren't careful. That's why it happens when you have 5 fullbacks and no defence. And I was like, boy, oh boy. Do you know what's interesting though? This was a team that a lot of people were excited to see for New Zealand. They said that this is what Razor should have selected from the get-go. Does Razor know something that maybe some people don't? Because this has been far from the best All Blacks performance, and they have looked all out of sorts throughout this match. Willems and Libbok have been outstanding tonight. Willems, for me, has to be man of the match. Marnie Libbok, he's just missed. I jinxed him, but he's still 4 from 5, so we can't blame him on that one. 80% accuracy still on the cards, but 29 points to 10. New Zealand are no longer playing for the win here. They are playing to stop themselves from dropping a third in the world rankings. Loving your commitment, says Terry G. I've seen enough of the Barrett brothers, says Dub there. And fantastic commentary, even for a Kiwi, says Andrew. But Quagga Smith thoroughly deserves a try. That man's always working. But now kicked off. And nicely taken by better Steph Toy. The gamble from Rassi off this back line has worked leaps and bounds better than some thought. Reinach off to the left-hand side goes to Arge Snyman. Even if New Zealand were able to get themselves 2 tries from here, they would still need a conversion or 2 to get back within that 7 points. That's to try and keep some sort of rugby championship hopes alive when it comes to the standings. Now Beauden Barrett knocking it back, taken by Damian McKenzie onto the short side. South Africa just all over him like a pack of piranhas in the Amazon River, and that's going to be a penalty now going the way of South Africa again. I think that was Quagga once more. Russie is yelling into that microphone. He is loving absolutely what he is seeing. We have got there, go the Bok. And also Snyman on since the 9th minute, still going. Snyman was the guy who I wanted to start at number 4. But Lutiacha, it is a shame about his injury. Hopefully he's going to be all right, but I don't think they're in bad hands if Arge gets some more minutes in the future. Great commentary, says Ligney Boy. And bloody All Blacks come on, says Jackson. And this is now a kick for the corner. South Africa are getting a different mentality here. They are looking for the bonus point win here, ladies and gentlemen. But that one's going to go into touch. All Blacks' biggest defeat at home is a 15-point loss for their game up against Australia in 1964. We need a pen to write that down. I don't have a pen. Someone remember that number. Because we might need it in about 10 minutes' time. Marty Libbok here's moves, let's not lie. And go the Bok. And there too, but now line out chance here for South Africa. Stolen by Fabian Holland. Beauden Barrett short side. Kicks it away again, but kind of had to in that scenario, and it has gone out around the halfway line. And also, could this be the All Blacks' biggest, where'd that go? Biggest home loss since, there we go. I'll star that so that I can reference it later on. However, there, don't take the foot off the gas. And amazing commentary, says Sonny there. New Zealand, come on, says D. Ryder. And no chance for the ABs of making a comeback. They've just been too unclinical. Half time they were leading, but South Africa throughout the second half, they started catching the ball, and look what happened. They started scoring tries. Now, Manus van der Merwe. He's got the buzz cut that I'm going to have to get soon. Oh, that's not fun, is it? 7.5 minutes remaining. Kanan Moody goes up and wins the aerial challenge again for South Africa. Now, Jasper Visser gets through the tackle attempt of Brodie McAllister. Quagga Smith. It can go again. Tupovai. Oh, he took some head collision there from Ruan Nokia right. Arge Snyman's going to score, but they may disallow it again because of a collision that happened in that breakdown on Tupovai. But if not, then Snyman finally has his try, but I think there might have been a bit of a high shot in that breakdown, like I said. So I don't want to rule that out, but Snyman, surely that man deserves the try. He's played massive minutes throughout this game, and this is just increasing that lead that little bit more. But Tupovai, is he still down at the moment? Or has he decided to get up there? 73rd minute, and it is just running rampage here for South Africa. And Russie's up on... Calm down, Russie, please. He mentioned about last week that the heart rate was going a little bit quick, but that looked like he was doing some strenuous exercise. What's that man? I want to see him 100%. The referee is not 100% at the moment, by the way. Oh, Musha Kelly is limping everywhere. So he's feeling it, but nothing checked in that breakdown. So Marnie Libbok said that he is able to go for the strike at the post. 3 seconds on the clock. 2 seconds. 1 second. Just kicks it over in time and gets it over. 36-10 domination from the box here. Rassi summoned by the Irishman. And also ref man of the match says Inner Light. in there as well. And this is a thrashing the other way. I love how they were underestimated, the world champions, says Sekelewal, or Sekelwa, I believe it is. Yeah, there were some fans earlier on in the week, South Africans saying the Rugby Championship's over. We're looking at the World Cup. How about this Rugby Championship now? Let South Africa get themselves in the position of a bonus point now. Geordie Barrett trying to create something, but there is no coming back from this for New Zealand. It is more so to save face than in any other scenario. For the Kiwis, Quinn Tupaia passes it straight into touch, but the penalty is awarded to New Zealand. And Razor is an embarrassment, says Chris. Yeah, it's a rough one. He selected the team that people wanted to see, and his team got butchered. So maybe he just sticks with the decisions he wants to make now rather than listening to the public, I think might be the better way of doing it. Wellington has been consistently bad for the All Blacks. Yeah, they've lost 7 of their last 11 at this ground. The weather and ref definitely was a factor why we lost last weekend, says Giovanni, and come on the box, says Rugby Itch there. Marnie is the great player, says Vanita. I think that this has been Marnie Libok at his finest throughout this game, and I hope that now people start to see what Rassi does. Because Libok has got world class. Now McAllister looping around, going to Ruben Love, who is tackled low by Marnie Libok. Now back across to the right. Chance here, McKenzie passes one more, goes out to Will Jordan. He'll have the running, or at least it should have been, but he might have slammed that ball short of the line and it might have bounced out of his hands. That might be short then a knock on here, ladies and gentlemen, which would summarise this day. We have got there, also we have got there, South Africa won that match after. It is a knock on, no try for Will Jordan, normally clinical, but does end up just short. Fantastic defence there from Grant Williams, who managed to stop it from scoring. Who is talking now? Go the Bok. I am currently, and I assume a lot of other people are too. Why must everyone go after Hamish is here? I haven't actually looked at that like total at the moment. We are sitting on currently 1,600, so I could be safe. To be fair, it might be all right. We're a wee way away from the like goal. So I might just about survive. No ways, this is insane, says Nicholas. When the scoring gets too far ahead. Maybe he's not gone. Are you sure, Hamish? I just said that, Clint, and I did say it because I saw it. We have got the Hamishy Rock, says Paula there. No prisoners in this game. Even the ref got injured, says Rob. Yeah, the fact that the ref has actually gone the full 80 minutes as well with his injury, I think is just as impressive. Because it wouldn't have been easy. Big push there. Will go low, trying to get one back. They do not receive the penalty. And Quagga Smith breaking off the back again. Oh, Savia trying to get the steal. He's been quiet today. I'll kick downfield. And that one's gone into touch. How many minutes at the moment? Just the 3 minutes remaining in this fixture. It is close. Well, no, it's not close. Close to the end, I was going to say. It's definitely not close. 26 points. Bit of a difference. Give Hamish a bells. Says Nays are there. Avies are a joke. A good 1 week and bad the next, says Bretham. We're now thrown in. New Zealand managing to claim it. Oh, and Lebok almost through. Just knocks it on. Razor is in trouble? I don't think so. I think that Razor now has the opportunity to look at this game and go, right, so don't do what people want to see. Do what will win games. Oh, Ruben Love keeping the ball in the field of play because it's right to Caden Moody. And now South Africa again are going to be on the attack. Their biggest losing margin at home for New Zealand was 15 points. And this is going to be a rock bottom performance here for the Kiwis. Please update the time, says Madame. At the moment it is 78 minutes through. Do the Boks move to first on the Rugby Championship? Not quite. I think Australia do. Oh, nice pass from Mighty Williams on the outside to Will Jordan. But South Africa moved to number 1 in the world ranking. Savia, chip and chase, drops the ball. And again, it just seems to be those little chips from New Zealand have been hurting them badly. Reinach, back across to the left-hand side. Lebok, now Damien Valimza looking to pierce through. Give him the man of the match already. Williams with the step on the inside. One more pass to Andre Esterhuizen. They're over again for the South Africans. Reinach is celebrating. He's cut Andre Esterhuizen open. In the box, they are up on the desk, one of them was, in the celebrations. But this has been a clinical masterpiece in the second 40 minutes. First half, we were talking about the handling errors. of the Boks, but the second half has been completely game-changing for this side. And the thing is, if there were 5 more minutes, they'd score again. There just seems to be no stopping them. New Zealand in all sort of defensive trouble. And thank you, South Africa. Great way to start a Saturday, says CJ. And of course, there is the rematch around the corner. New Zealand versus South Africa in the Women's World Cup quarter-final. The South African ladies through to the quarters for the first time in 15 years. I'm going to be covering that one on the channel as well. But this scoreboard, it's certainly much more than the 15. So the Boks may not have gotten the record at Eden Park, but they've gotten a record, and this one, some would say, hurts that little bit more. Conversion goes over from Mani Libok. Esther Hazen's got the cut on the eyebrow from Cobus Reinach flying in and giving him a shot. Springboks completely outclassed the ABs today, says Lilia. Wonderful commentary, thanks so much, says Ardian. Also, it's nice to be a South African, says Mlandu. And well done the Boks, says Clint. There, nicely taken by Peter Steph de Toy. Oh, Rohan Nokia might be all right here. He's kind of doing some bum shuffling. Like a baby would, if you can picture that. But Reinach, the full-time siren, and South Africa domination at Sky Stadium. 43 points to 10. There is nothing indecisive about this, and there is everything that is indecisive about this rugby championship, because we now have 4 teams with 2 wins, 2 losses. If it couldn't get more intense heading into the last 2 rounds, well, boy, we've just booked it in. Bledisloe around the corner for New Zealand. South Africa, they are taking on the Argentines. And with a performance like this, they have to be that little bit closer to becoming the favourites. But what we will do, ladies and gents, just like always, we will have to get ourselves on a few guests. I will try more than one option. Whether or not all of them are willing to come on, we will wait and see. But I know for a fact 2 blokes from South Africa would love nothing more than to pop in and say hi at the end of this one. Well, I like it, says Mikhail there. But yeah, massive, massive performance from the Boks. We talk about that game at the start of the Rugby Championship. You know, you've got the 38 unanswered points from South Africa that they did concede up against the Australians. They had a 22-point lead. Halftime in this game, it was 7 points to 10. New Zealand conceded 36 unanswered points. Look at this. Leroy Carter, the only man to score for New Zealand in this game. Colby got himself 2. Vilimza, for me, is the man of the match by far. He got himself 1 in the 62nd. Kwaka, Snyman, Esther Hazen. 4 tries in 20 minutes at the end of this game. When we talk about what happened at Eden Park, we ended up seeing some brilliant work in that last 20 from the bench, from the bomb squad, and we see it again here today because they have just gone out like an absolute house on fire and got themselves another one. Ridiculous. It's a crazy scoreline. You look at it, 33 points. New Zealand's biggest losing margin was to the Australians in 1964, and that was 15 points at home. This score here is double that and some now for this South African side. They are the real deal. Rassie was questioned about whether or not this was the right choice. People said he threw away the Rugby Championship with the team that he selected here. But guess what? They are now right up there, and there's even more time to try and make a decision here in terms of what does Rassie do from here on out for the next 2 games up against the Argentines. Such a good game, the South African team would beat anyone. Says team, I think the way that they played in the second half, absolutely. First half, they were a bit rough. And it's crazy to say because it felt like such a long time ago. How does the log look now, says Brandon? So what we will do is we will go like this. This is what it looked like at the start of the round. So South Africa get themselves the full points available, and they now, with that points differential, move up into second. New Zealand drop to third, Australia go to first, and Argentina stay in last, even though they got themselves a win in that most recent game. So it's slightly unfortunate for Argentina, the fact that they won and they are still at the bottom. But this Rugby Championship, anyone can win it from here. Whoever wins 2 games in their last 2 matches, they could secure this whole cup. And at the moment, it's that big question of, with the way that this game went, do New Zealand have it in them to get that Bledisloe? Proved last week the ref robbed us, says Stephen. I think that last week, the big difference that we've seen here is South Africa came out second half and fired from the get-go. The last game at Eden Park, they struggled And then the last 20 minutes was when they started playing rugby. And that is the type of rugby that people expected to see. People were asking earlier on, where is the Tony ball at? Kind of in an ironic way. But this was exactly what we were expecting to see. It is Tony Brown ball at its finest. And just great attacking prowess. The set piece was dominant. And yeah, there is plenty more. You can see how much it means to Siya Kolisi, as I believe that means that the Freedom Cup does stay in South Africa. I think they get that one back here too. Rasi has nothing to lose. High risk, high reward. Says Emmanuel, and thank you for your commentary. Says Balumko. And also man of the match, Marnie. I believe they gave it to Damian Valimza, but Marnie is right up there too. And I do think, once again, for those who felt like Marnie Libok didn't deserve his spot in the squad, they have seen right then and there exactly why he was selected, because, you know, he did extremely well. They've just said there, All Blacks humiliated, is the comment there on the commentary from the New Zealand side. And that is what we saw out there on the field. Domination in the second 40 minutes. We will put that up on the screen because we have got a couple guests, ladies and gentlemen. You will remember last week that we had a few guests. There was a little bit of hecticness going on, but what I will quickly do, I will go like this. And like this. There we go. And like that. Right, ladies and gents, we're going to have a couple guests. They will be very happy. Maybe the happiest that we have seen them on the channel, but rightfully so. This has been a brilliant performance from the box. But what we will do is we'll go like this, and we'll go like that as well. Vic and Vern, I'll make you guys a little bit bigger. Welcome in. What a game that was.
Listen, yeah, thanks. Well, our stream's still running because there's so many people in there, but don't worry. Listen, yeah, thanks for having us. You can see on our faces, we are two happy campers today, man.
Well, it's definitely a huge difference. And the second half is where this game was really completely separated. I'm still talking like I'm doing commentary. I need to calm down a little bit. But an insane game of rugby between these two sides. And South Africa, that clinicalness in the second half, their set piece just dominating. It was what Rassi probably hoped for, and he got it in this game. And it seemed like a gamble first half, but it paid off in the long run.
But I thought the first 20 minutes, I was quite upset. We were upset. We thought we should have been up at least by 2 tries in the first 20 minutes. We had the opportunities. I mean, I think it was Geordie Barrett with a great tackle on Cheslin Colby. One of the Barrett brothers, one of the Sheepies, I don't know. One of them did it. But we had the opportunities early. And then I got worried because New Zealand, clinical as they always are, first time they come into our half, they score the try. But afterwards, I got to give it to the boys. The boys, I mean.
The young kids. And we've been bashing the young kids.
I mean, Willemse was, people forget, he has won 2 World Cups, but he's only 27 years old, Damian Willemse.
And he definitely, for me, was one of the standouts because
he was the one put out a poll there, man of the match. We said either Willemse Hooker. I thought Jasper Visser was brutal today.
Yeah, he was always going to be, because just coming back from that suspension, he almost tried to get himself another one with that big tackle when he lifted the guy up. I was worried there for a second.
And I thought actually when I thought they could have gone back to have a look at it. I thought he was head on head there on the one time. He was very close to being sent off. But I think all the Springboks played on the edge today. Either way, we're going to have a good game, or we're going to have a lot of people sent off, because we were very physical today.
And I think that for someone like a Valimza, defensively, that was where he was going to be questioned the most. Whereas that's probably where he stepped up the most in this game. Under the high ball for South Africa, this was exactly how we expected the Springboks to play in the first game, in terms of that up and under. Because New Zealand, as much as, they're trying to hide the fact that we've been terrible under the high ball, but there's no hiding it. Any time that you look, even someone like a Will Jordan not taking it as consistently, Damian McKenzie not getting it right at times too. And the scoreboard really shows that. New Zealand just couldn't exit. And also those little chips in behind from Beauden Barrett. They were hoping for some magic, but every time South Africa had it covered with those covering defenders.
I think Ethan Hook in the second half, getting those high balls, amazing.
Now, look, I'm telling you now, you got to hand it to Rassi. He pulled it off once again. People were doubting the man. But I think there's a lot of South African, everybody's happy today. But there's a few players that should be worried now, because Esterhuizen, fantastic off the bench. I mean, Kwaka Smith, fantastic off the bench. Hooker played great. I thought Mongazula was not bad. I thought Libok actually played quite well. There's a lot of players that are going to worry for their spots, because why would you change the squad? Why wouldn't you give these guys against Argentina first choice at a run out? Because they deserve it today. I mean, I thought we were going to win today. I did say, but I never thought like this. This surprised, I think, everybody in South Africa on our wildest dreams. We never thought we'd win this high.
Well, the biggest losing margin for New Zealand in New Zealand, 15 points up against the Australians right back in 1964. So the
this
Boks
is the biggest
more
loss
than
for you guys in New Zealand ever.
correct, more than double as well, for the fact that it was a 33-point difference between these two sides. But I also do think, in terms of those players who might end up missing out from now on, I honestly think that this match, we've probably seen the retirement of Makazole Mapimpi. I don't know whether or not they'll ever be able to get him back in there. The only thing I'll say about Leroux, because I was going to say him as well, but the only thing about Billy Leroux is the fact that Fussie's out injured. Yeah. So that might save Leroux for just 1 or 2 more games. But honestly, this is an exciting young team.
But look, we've talked so many times over the last few weeks. We've done so many shows. And if you go back to every show we've talked about, which player do I always pick in my team? Damian Willemse. I have him every time, and he has not had enough minutes. I thought yes, I like to be right, obviously, but I'm so happy for the guy. I'm so happy for him, because he showed today he's class. And I mean, Edwin van der Merwe will be coming back off injury.
Yep. I think you should, because Willie, I think it's time to go. Q and Horn from the Lions. I think he should get in that team, because he's played really well. We'll see now in the URC what he does, but in the Currie Cup, it's just Currie Cup, but he's been fantastic.
Yeah, and Kurtley Arnes is missing. I think Jesse Kriel is a man that has to worry now.
Yeah. Oh no, not Kriel.
He'll be in the squad, but he'll be in the squad. But is that it was always Jesse Kriel first name on the list? Yeah, Mr. Iron Man, whatever. These boys showed today. They showed. I mean, look at that picture. They're just showing now. Ethan Hooker, Andre Estes, and Damon Willemse together.
But Andre Estes is not that young. I think he's over 30 already.
But they're just a fantastic. Now I'm at loss at words. I'm so bloody happy. Yeah. I am so happy. And the good thing is the Archies won as well today, so it's all very tight.
Everyone 2 wins, 2 loss.
Yeah. Everybody and Australia are leading the table.
Yeah, that's a bit of a curveball, isn't it? But then that comes down to bonus points. I mentioned about it, how if South Africa were to win this game, which now that they have, I said how Australia's lack of getting a bonus point in their game up against the South Africans in that second match, losing by 8 rather than losing by 7, that could be a drastic difference maker in terms of the overall outcome of this competition. Currently, the way that it sits, it just seems like, it is a 4-horse race. Argentina probably the side that are the most unlikely, but then that's also because they gave up their home field advantage. I still don't know why they do that.
Remember, we've been talking about it all the time.
Maybe they didn't expect to be this close, but I don't think anyone was predicting after 2 rounds of the Rugby Championship that it would be 1-1 for everyone. And I can guarantee you right now, I don't think there were many people who were predicting after 4 rounds of the Rugby Championship that every team would have 2 wins, 2 losses. I think heading into this last 2 rounds, if there's a draw somewhere along the lines, whoever wins that other game's winning the championship.
Yeah, look, all of a sudden now, we're in a very crazy position. So we actually have to hope for New Zealand to win. Because what happens if New Zealand, what happens if New Zealand wins both games against Australia and they win both of the bonus point, and South Africa wins both games against Argentina?
Points difference.
And a bonus point. Then what does it come down to? Is it the points difference against all the teams, or is it against the team that you tied with in the league? I don't know. I'll
quickly have a look, because I know that there is some sort of technicality for it. Because I think sometimes they do head-to-head result, but I don't think that'll be the case in this one. So tiebreakers are wins, then they are head-to-head wins. So in this case, it's 1-1 in that scenario. Then it is points difference. And then it's head-to-head points difference, which would actually go the way of South Africa if the points differentials are the same.
Okay.
So at the moment, South Africa are sitting with a points differential better than New Zealand by, I believe it is actually around that 33-ish points.
Okay.
So they are now in the Bok seat, you could say, although the Australian...
Good one.
Come on, that wasn't that good. You can't be giving me that one. But 11 points for the Australians. They are that little bit further ahead at the moment. And
Good.
who knows?
Australia is the only team that has it in their own hands at the moment. They win both games
with a bonus point.
If they win both games with a bonus point, if they pick up 10 points, they're going to win the Rugby Championship. Everybody else, the Springboks, the New Zealanders, they have to hope that other teams slip up.
Yeah. And speaking of slip-ups, I made a bad decision, boys. I decided that because I was going to be nice, I said that if South Africa won this game and we hit a certain light goal, that I would get a buzz cut. Now, I got my hair cut yesterday. I've tried not to mention it too much because we're currently sitting very close to the light goal, but there's a chance that this hair's going, unfortunately, in the near future. Do you think the barber will give me a discount, seeing as I was just there the other day?
You know what we'll do? I'll go on your show this next week, and I'll give you a $10 super chat, and I'll pay for part of your haircut.
Oh, that's very generous.
There you go. Listen here. I think my worst enemy could come in here right now and ask me to help him out, and I'd help him out. I'm that happy. I'm just over the moon at the moment. But I got a question. You don't by any chance have those two New Zealanders around anywhere?
I did send a message saying I have a link if you want to join. I sent that message through.
In their tears right
it's
now.
been seen. Maybe they are still doing the post-match review, I would think. Maybe trying to get it out nice and quick, seeing as it will be quite the talking point, I would think, throughout this week. So who knows? Maybe they pop on in the relatively near future. Or maybe they are MIA for this week. We have got the Avicura sweetheart.
We said, before we came on now, we said, we're going to be gracious and we're going to be nice to them. We're not going to hammer them or anything like that.
We are gracious.
We're gracious. We're always gracious in victory.
It's just at the 2,000 likes. It's just at the goal. That's, yeah. Oh, no.
What, you hit 2,000 likes today?
2,000 likes, yes. Because the last one got about 1,200. I was like, there's no way we'll hit the almost double, will we? So in the end, we probably should have aimed for 3,000. But it's a bit late now. And I'm sure you guys have had quite the success. I assume you're actually still live at the moment, are you?
Yeah, we've just left it on. The people can see us talking to you. So
can they hear me?
It's all cool, man. It's all cool.
Yeah, hectic weekend, and the weekend's not over as well. We've got to remember there's still a game. New Zealand versus South Africa. If the people were enjoying this one, 3 hours time, we get to see the two sides clash again, except for the women's side of things. Now, exactly. New Zealand are given a bit more of a chance there, but at the same time, I feel like, will this motivate the Springboks women's side? Hamish is getting the cut. I am, yeah. Unfortunately. Look, we've flown past it now too.
I'm telling you this right now. My tip, I put out a tip today for the woman. I said New Zealand 62, Springboks 12. I'm honest. Look, I said anything under a 50-point difference, and our girls can be proud of themselves. They've done themselves proud. I mean, no one in South Africa gave a shit about this team making it to the quarterfinals, and we've done it. The women have done it. It's a good way
to promote women's rugby.
Women's rugby is starting to come up in South Africa. We're a long way off it, but give us about 8 to 12 years, and we'll be around. We'll be there. It's coming. Yeah. World domination's coming.
Is that for the rugby side or just in general?
No, just for the rugby side. No, fuck the rest. No, in general, no. Hell no. They have so many, electrical shortages and load shedding. There's no world domination on that side, please. They're happy to have electricity and water.
We have got the South African team did it again. And now we, again, number one. That is true. And because they won by more than 16 points here, New Zealand dropped to third in the world rankings. Ireland go back into second. They've had the most juggling out of any side at the moment, Ireland.
And they don't even play.
They're going to end up there. But, yeah, it's going to be intriguing. The November internationals with Argentina winning that game up against the Australians. That puts them into the top 6. So a better Rugby World Cup draw is on the cards here too. Who was number one today?
Out of the top 6 now.
Australia they are 7th at the moment. So they really do need a win up against New Zealand, in New Zealand, preferably actually the second one, if they do want to get the best possible boost in points. Yeah. And the way that the Rugby Championship has been going, it's definitely a likeliness that we do
because
see.
New Zealand will get no points if they beat Australia because the points difference is too big, right? What's the difference between New Zealand and Australia?
I'll just have a quick look. So currently the points difference between those two sides is about 7.5.
So they would get points. New Zealand would get points for beating Australia. Because I think if it's more than 10 points difference, the better team, if it wins, doesn't get any points.
Yeah, although New Zealand's at home, so I see they actually can't get points. Whereas Australia, if they were to just beat New Zealand, would go up 2 whole points, and Australia would jump just a couple points behind England in the overall standings. Although I think actually, one moment, I'll quickly update that so that it's got South Africa where they are 2. Oh, no, sorry, 0.17 is how much New Zealand can gain, or 0.26. So really thin margins. But if Australia were to win that game, New Zealand would drop to 5th in the world rankings.
No, that's not. See, that's why I say these world rankings, there's something fucking wrong with this. Sorry about it, but there's something wrong with these world rankings. How the hell can New Zealand drop to 5th in the world rankings?
Yeah,
that's just ridiculous.
It'll be a drop. But then how can New Zealand lose 33 points margin to South Africa at home? Even if it's in Wellington, there was a lot. They were leading at half-time, the Kiwis.
You know what? Last week, those other 2 boys that were on, they were talking about that Eden Park. But there's this Wellington thing. You guys need to, I would say, lose to Australia in Eden Park so that you can get rid of that one. You don't have to worry about it. And start thinking about when are you going to win in Wellington?
Well, currently they are sitting 4 wins of the last 11 in Wellington.
Okay.
So I'm surprised they're still booking test matches there. I feel like at this point they probably want to avoid that one.
But hey, you are making the people in Wellington very worried now with that, because not that they have no more tests. Now I think as South Africans we should just say from the beginning we only play in Wellington from now on.
Yeah.
That'd be a decent deal, I think. The thing is, New Zealand would sign it off too, wouldn't they? They'll go, no, it's all right. We'll just get that one done. But it was a great sellout crowd, and they certainly, they got their money's worth from that second half. Probably the worst possible end to a game for New Zealand that they could have asked for is conceding 4 tries in the last 20 minutes. But that's now 6 tries from the last 2 games between these two teams for South Africa in the last 20. So
I mentioned it to Vern. And a lot of people don't believe me. There's 2. You take Australia and you take New Zealand. Australia, in the last 1.5 years, every game that I've seen of them, they're the best team in the last 20 minutes.
Yep.
Exactly the opposite way around with New Zealand. New Zealand have been, we look at the last year's autumn internationals, New Zealand have a problem in the last 20 minutes.
And I think it's actually been ever since Razor took over, they've been struggling to find that bench. But then when you look at the depth now compared to what they had, prior, like when they had TJ Perenara making his way off the bench because they had an Aaron Smith in the starting lineup, when they did have those other options in terms of the loose forwards. Like, it just seems to be, at this point in time, like, I'll be honest, I heard a lot of positives about this New Zealand team selected today. A lot of people saying this is the team that they would have picked.
Okay.
And this team got slaughtered by 33 points. So maybe Razor wasn't making the worst choices, even if he's going with boring teams. And yes, it's only short-term success that you'll get with the same side over and over again. But, it's just going to be a very tricky one. And I feel like everyone went from so happy about Eden Park to now saying sack the coach for this game.
But listen, you have the same problem as we have in South Africa. This is exactly the same problem. It's never, there's no middle ground anymore. It's either you're the greatest in the world or you dog shit. There's no middle ground. But let me just do one thing quickly because we're still live on the other screen. To everybody out there, we are actually on Kiwi Lads, a show. Yep. So we're talking to him. I know you can hear him, so stay there. Don't worry.
Hello, everyone. Can they hear me? I didn't realize they could hear me. So.
But I mean, for me, this was, even though we won the Rugby World Cup 2 years ago, this is the best game of rugby I've seen from a Springbok team in years. In years. This performance was top-notch performance. Top-notch. I mean, the first half, we were kind of losing our crap here. I mean, let's be honest, because we thought we should have been in the lead early on.
I was losing it.
But the second 40 minutes, I have not seen a Springbok team play better than the second 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I would say in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
to do it in New Zealand, it's unbelievable. Yeah. But we're just happy today. And I know we're going to get a hammering when the ladies come up. But that's okay. We're still proud of them. And then, of course, the 2 Curry Cup games should be interesting as well today. And then I'm still going to do Canada against Australia today with the rugby, the women's.
There is plenty of rugby on, isn't there? And the thing is, then you go tomorrow and then there's more Women's World Cup and Pacific Nations Cup thrown in there as well. But, yeah, it's an intriguing one because New Zealand now, they have 2 weeks to sort things out.
Yeah.
But the thing is, before this week, it seemed like there was not a lot that needed sorting out. You know, that loss to Argentina was unfortunate. They made some mistakes in that game. They were beaten by a better team. But like you said, this second half was just domination from South Africa, and everything just made them seem like they were going always forward, whether or not it was the big forwards doing the job. And also, we've got to remember, this was a win with many injuries early on. Losing Fassi, who was great under the high ball, he comes off, and he just, next man comes on, plays just as well. Yeah, and Ardege almost got himself 2 tries in the game if it wasn't for the disallowed one. And then Sasha. Sasha was the man who I believe this back line was slightly built around. He goes off early. And who else but Mani Libok to make his way on there in a game where many people said, we need Pollard or we're going to get costed this game later on in the contest. Whereas Libok, he was kicking better off the tee than we've ever seen. And probably in one of the worst days in terms of conditions that he's had to kick in with the breeze. So, I think he proved a lot of people wrong.
He did. I think people, that were on the fridges like an Ethan Hooker. A lot of people said he's not a top. He won't be a top-notch Springbok. He's not. He delivered today, and that's all you can ask for. If you're a coach, that's all you can ask for. I'm giving you your chance, and he took his chance today. He took his chance big time. But one thing we did learn today, we need that undisciplined little bastard called Jasper Visser. We need him, and we need him in every game because that man made a massive difference. Big difference. And like we said on the chat the other day when we were talking, that man only plays 150%. He doesn't know 100%. He doesn't know. It's full power. He was very close to being sent off today. Very close. But that's just the way he plays.
It's fantastic.
Who sang that song, Living on the Edge? That is Jasper Visser. He lives on the edge. Aerosmith, there you go. He's living on the edge all the time, But I don't know what, I'm happy. But if I'm in New Zealand now, I'm just watching on the TV, we can see Razors giving his interview. If I'm New Zealand, I wouldn't go throw everything over and say, now we've got to change everything. Look, everybody has games like that. I mean, look, we were up 22-0 against the Aussies, and then 60 minutes they destroyed us. Things happen in rugby. It's not just because you lose, you don't have to change everything. Yeah. And I don't think New Zealand has to change everything. I mean, Leroy Carter. Now that you guys have got a diamond in the rough there, my friend.
Yeah,
I thought he was actually not bad today.
It was good.
He was under pressure though, wasn't he? Straight away, Colby was like, right, you're my target. You're the one who I'm going to try and show up.
Wouldn't you do that to somebody having his debut?
Yeah. I mentioned about that whole veteran and rookie aspect of the two, but I still wonder what happened to Caleb Clark and why he didn't play in this game. Nothing against Leroy Carter, of course, but I just
Caleb
feel
Clark
like
is Hamish's favorite player. I find that out last week.
No, that's not true. It's just more so in this scenario. I think that Proctor as well. He to me didn't show a whole heap in that 13 jersey. No. So now the question is, do they revert back to Rico, or do they try and get someone like a Whainā Nuku once he is eligible into that jersey? Tupaia not really having a huge amount of time, but like you said, it's one game that, yes, we've seen some signs of it happening in the past, but overall, this is a team that could go out there and with a couple changes could beat Australia by 20 in the next contest. You just wouldn't know. That's the unpredictability of this competition, and we will see it yet again in the near future. Mm-hmm. South Africa currently sit in number one, but they can't afford sneaky loss to Argentina.
No, they can't. And remember one thing we talked about. Noah Notham, or the guy I call Hotham. Remember we said, should he play with his injury record? Is it too early for him? Okay, he got unlucky. He got Luke de Jager's knee right in the side of his head. I mean, actually, Reinach got Oxenchae's knee in the side of his head as well. He went off, but he didn't look good there, Notham. And I think actually you would have been better off if Christie started the game.
I agree. And I said it all throughout those games beforehand. You can't stick a guy who hasn't played rugby for a month and a half into a starting lineup up against a Springbok side who want redemption. That's another factor. If it was just the case that South Africa won the first, you chuck him in the second one maybe like 10% of the time. But in this scenario, they needed consistency. And the All Blacks, they just changed too much, I feel, in the wrong positions. Like that combination of Finlay and Bowden was good. Or at least it was last week. But this week with the bench, just didn't seem to have that same impact.
I don't think your starting scrum half is either of those two that play today. I think if everybody's healthy, you're starting Roygaard and your backup is Ratima. That's just the way I see it. So you had your third and your fourth choice scrum halves out there today. So, and the New Zealand people have to also see that. I mean,
but Christie wasn't that.
Christie was very good last week, and I thought he was actually quite good when he came on.
Yeah.
He didn't do any bad things.
I thought today, your line out, the first half, our line out was shaky. The first two with Malcolm Marx, I was losing it. I was like, Malcolm, you cannot have another bad game like this. But your line out was very shaky in the second half. I mean, what do we steal? 3 or 4 lineouts in the second half? That is unheard of that New Zealand lose 3-4 lineouts in one half.
Do you know what? That might have also been a factor too, though. The fact that Brodie McAllister coming onto the field after, once again, no game time for a very long time. Last time he played was up against France. He got 10 minutes at the end of a game. So that's another factor where maybe the lack of rotation before this point has really come back to bite them at just the wrong time. And, they probably wanted to suffer more in the environment, but he's actually concussed at the moment, so he misses out just like Cody Taylor did. But yeah, it's intriguing. I'm excited to see what happens next.
Everybody's criticizing Rassie. Oh, he makes too many changes. But isn't that a proof that actually he has a squad of 30 players that are, let's say, over a 10-game stretch, they all have at least 3 or 4 games where maybe New Zealand, you guys stick a lot with the same players. Yep. And a lot of players that, let's say you have 4 or 5 injuries, you're bringing in a lot of players that haven't played a lot of international rugby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, even someone like Preston, had he been the guy off the bench, he's only had, 15 minutes or something like that. So I do think that the way that Rassie has done it, as much as he gets critiqued for it in terms of that rotation and everything like that, it still seems to be something that he's got the players to win big. But I think this game more than anything has proved to us that it's actually been the players letting down the South Africans a little bit in terms of, that first game at Eden Park. I know that some people were saying it was the referee's fault, but...
No, that's bullshit. To all South Africans out there, stop with that crap. We played terrible in the first half. The last 20 minutes was good, got nothing to do with the ref. Yeah, we know, all fans, in the heat of the match and everything, like, we go off against the refs. I went off against the ref again today, but that's just normal. But no. I always say, you can only talk about the refs when you play the perfect game. And until you've played the perfect game, the refs are never, even Australia there against the Lions, we all thought they were shagged at the end there. But you got to be honest. You got to be honest. Yeah. The refs very seldom are the ones that decide the game.
Yeah. And I think that the handling, just the perfect example in this game. How South Africa, they did start very similar, but at the same time, second half, that was the difference maker. The fact that they were able to go out and just find that momentum straight away, it's going to be a hectic last couple of rounds of the Rugby Championship. And like we said, there's still another game later on tonight between South Africa and New Zealand again for a bit more excitement. We are, of course, going to be doing that one on the channel. Did you have a tie at the start of that live stream, Vern, out of curiosity? Did that
I
get
had a
whipped off at
tie
some-
and I lost the shirt.
He had a tie, then he had the tie around his neck. He thought he was a samurai, and then he was sitting here without a shirt. He took his shirt off when everything was going off. I was like, maybe that's why we got so many views today, because you were half naked here. Maybe you should go shirtless all the time. I don't know.
Wow, so
Now he was losing it. I thought, I was eating the Tic Tacs here, just in case I had to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. He was about to die on me here.
oh, it's crazy.
But yeah, I don't think many people were expecting this scoreline as the
No,
way that it would end.
no,
But
no.
there will be a lot of people happy about it too. And also, I think there'll be a lot of neutrals that are just like, well, 2 wins apiece, rugby championship all to play for. I think we're going to end up in the scenario how that last round is actually going to mean something, which is
Yes.
terrific, because that's exactly what people want to see. And maybe it's the case that if Australia can somehow, sneak a win, then it could be that the Bledisloe is also on the line. There's just so many stories that can still happen in a
And it's
competition that sometimes seems straightforward.
And it's so good for rugby. It's so good for the competition that there's
Yep.
it's equal. It's fun. It's amazing. It's
That's what makes the Rugby Championship this year so much better than like the Six Nations. The
Yeah.
Six Nations, you have the French, you have the Irish, and maybe you have the English. Scottish are subpar, and the Welsh, we don't talk about the Welsh. And the Italians, I mean, the Welsh even worse than the Italians. But this competition, this is exactly what everybody's always wanted for the Rugby Championship. 4 teams that everybody can beat everybody. I mean, if you take the 2 Rugby Championships, the 4 games from this year and the 6 games from last year, then, and you look at it, so that's 10 games. South Africa has lost 3 out of the 10. New Zealand lost at home to Argentina, lost away to Argentina, lost 2 games to South Africa. So everybody can beat everybody. And it's not like because you're playing at home, it's an automatic win, because we lost to Australia at home. The New Zealanders lost to Argentina last year at home. This is exactly what you want for the Rugby Championship. This is, as much as we want to have world domination as Springbok fans and win every game, but it's not good for sport.
No.
I always say it's never good for sport. You don't want something like the Scottish Football Championship where you have the Glasgow Rangers and the Celtic, and the last 100 years they've all won the title, either one of the two. You don't want that. You do want sports to be competitive and everybody has a chance. And
Yes, it is like
that's a lot of South Africans are going to think we're going to win the Rugby Championship. We could lose twice to Argentina easily if we don't bring our A game.
And that's why the last 2 rounds, they are so crucial. I think it's going to be a much needed bye week for these sides just to kind of regroup and get ready.
There's
I know that
players
there's a
out there
few
who've got
injuries.
hammered today. A lot of players look tired
a lot of
today.
injuries.
A lot of injuries. I mean, look, there's at least 2 or 3 players that are definitely not going to be playing in 2 weeks' time because they're going to be concussed. I said, Notham, I don't think he's there. I think Mongazulo's also got a concussion. I can't see Fazi back in 2 weeks.
Nah, he had a moon boot on the sideline, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. And then Ludiaka, that was a bit of a confusing one for me right early on in the game.
Yes.
Just didn't quite look 100%, and it seemed
But
like
it was his
maybe a
knee
bit
as
of a
well.
limp.
It
Yeah.
was his knee that was hurting him, because his knee really hit Noah really hard. So, I mean, if you're leaving the game because you got a knee injury and you hit the other guy's head with your knee, can you imagine what the other guy's head must be feeling like, man? That guy must be having serious concussion protocol at the moment,
Well, Oxnashare, he connected with Reinach, didn't he? But Reinach somehow came back after that. I don't think he was
but
going to
Reinach's
be
just an
able to
old head,
after.
man.
And to be fair, as a halfback, you normally take a few shots, don't you, in the breakdown? Normally you're not the most popular amongst the forwards. But nonetheless, I guess that is the week of the Rugby Championship. Still plenty more rugby to come. We've got the Curry Cup later on that I will be scheduling in the near future, as well as that Women's World Cup game between New Zealand and South Africa. If you haven't already, be sure to check out Vic and Vern's channel. Of course, they will have plenty coming up. They've got the Daily Sports Show, which I feel like there'll be a slight mention on there for the South Africans.
Small
one.
Just a small one, 30-second little stint, and then,
Yeah.
of course, moving on. But nonetheless, we do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you all for the next one.